Chapter 2693. A stream of pure blood chi flowed into his body from his palm, causing the blood demon Dharma body to tremble. The blood-red robe on the blood demon Dharma body rippled, and the 9 black stars pattern on it also trembled. It contains such a shocking amount of blood chi. It's 10 times more majestic and high-grade than the blood chi of the rhinoceros blood monster. Could this be the blood demon stone? Su Fong was surprised and delighted. He estimated that this blood-red crystal was enough to upgrade his blood demon Dharma body. Even if he couldn't become a blood-killer divine general, he wouldn't be far from it. Blood demon stone. Young Master Su, your luck is simply heaven-defying. You actually got a blood demon stone. Gao Tianlei stared at the blood-red crystal in Su Fong's hand like a hungry wolf staring at a piece of fat meat. Blood demon stone? Huang Jiangpeng and Zhong Buyun, who had just entered the call, looked at Su Fong with eyes full of vigor. Huang Jiangpeng's deep eyes were full of unconcealable greed. However, when he saw the big pit on the ground, he immediately gasped, and the greed in his heart disappeared. Zhong Buyun was also shocked. They were now sure that Su Fong was definitely a disciple from a big force. There were experts hidden around him who killed the blood monster for him. Otherwise, with Su Fong's cultivation base, how could he kill a rhinoceros blood monster that was comparable to a Dao master? Young Master Wu Dao also flew into the call and shouted, "I don't want the blood chi of killing this blood monster. I only want that blood demon stone." Su Fong turned a deaf ear to him. He sealed the blood demon stone and absorbed it into the Jiuxuan Dao Palace. This blood demon stone contained pure and high-grade blood chi. He didn't even plan to use it himself. He decided to give it to Law to integrate. Law was from the Azura Divine clan, a clan born to kill. Law had integrated with a fruit of sin and devoured the blood essence of many experts, as well as spiritual objects that contained life blood chi. At this time, he was about to reach a height beyond the Pangang universe. If he used this blood evil stone as a divine source, Luo henceforth's strength would definitely be extraordinary. Su Fong had been thinking about his family and friends in the heavenly Dao avatar. He had been thinking of ways to improve their strength and transcend the Pan-Tsong universe as soon as possible. Otherwise, once the evil god descended and completely devoured the heavenly Dao avatar of the heavenly Dao, it would mean that everyone would not be able to escape death. The simplest way was to help his family and friends transcend the Pangang universe. Now that he had finally obtained a blood evil stone that could help Law, how could he give it away? Young noble Wu Dao flew into a rage, his face filled with killing intent as he shouted, "Su Zhentian, you dare to ignore this young noble? You wanted to use the blood monster to kill me, and you want the blood evil stone. Are all the people of the Pathless sect as shameless as you?" Su Fong mocked. Young Master Wu Dao's baleful aura surged as he prepared to attack Su Fong. Huang Jiangpeng suddenly reminded him, "Young Master Wu Dao, look below." Young noble Wu Dao was startled. He looked at the ground and suddenly took a breath of cold air. The baleful aura on his face disappeared in an instant and was replaced by shock and horror. Su Fong took out 3 jade bottles, which sealed the 3 portions of baleful aura obtained from killing the rhino blood monster. He waved his hand and swept them towards Huang Jiangpeng, Zhong Diun, and Gao Tianlei. Only young noble Wu Dao was not given a share. The 3 of them were surprised and delighted when they sensed the amount of baleful aura in the jade bottles. Young noble Wu Dao said angrily, "Why is there no one for this young noble?" Su Fong said coldly, "You tried to harm me. Seeing that we have joined forces along the way, I didn't kill you. You still want the baleful aura?" Young noble Wu Dao was so angry that his teeth creaked, but he did not have the courage to attack Su Fong. However, in his heart, there was a strong murderous aura surging. He wished he could devour Su Fong alive. Next, the 4 of them opened up cave residences in this call and absorbed the baleful aura. As for young noble Wu Dao, he was bored and left alone with a heart full of hatred. No one knew where he went. While Su Fang was sitting cross-legged in the cave residence, a thought passed through the boundary and turned into Zhong Diyun's figure. "Young noble Su, have you thought about what we talked about before?" Su Fang nodded and said, "I am determined to get the 7-color blood lotus. Naturally, I will not refuse. But let me say the ugly words first. If you intend to hide anything or want to use me, don't blame me for being ruthless." Young noble is indeed a straightforward person. It seems that there is hope for my father's injury to be healed. The expert hidden by young noble's side can easily kill Tao Master. How would I dare to hide anything from young noble, let alone use young noble? That's for the best. QL11. After ending the conversation with Zhong Diyun, Su Fang took out a jade bottle and began to wantonly devour the baleful aura with his baleful aura. His original body and other avatars also began to cultivate. His main goal was to cultivate the Jiuxuan limitless scripture to improve the foundation of cultivation. He also persisted in cultivating the heavenly secret life shrinking technique, the mysterious solution of heaven, the extreme Tao Black Yang technique, and other techniques and abilities. In addition, Su Fang was also constantly pondering over the time quintessence that he had comprehended from Zhu Xin Popo's thoughts. He really wanted to have the time quintessence. Unfortunately, the time great Tao in the Pan Song universe was completely different from the Jiuxuan God domain. It was a low-level great Tao and lost its effect in the Pan Song universe. This also made Su Fang's powerful trump card unable to be used in the Jiuxuan God domain. That was the mediating destiny technique. The heaven-revolving fate art was built on the foundation of the Age of Time, the Tianji life shrinking art, and the purple Qi Dharma spirit. It was a supreme art that Su Fang created himself. Without the Age of Time, he couldn't use it anymore. Previously, Zhu Xin Popo had tried to suppress Su Fang with her thoughts. In the end, that thought was sealed by Su Fang. Su Fang comprehended the Taoist rhyme of the time great Tao in the thought. He was barely able to use the surface of the time great Tao. If I can suppress Ling Xingqian, I will definitely be able to obtain the supreme cultivation techniques and divine abilities of the 3 supreme mysterious sects. Su Fang was looking forward to meeting Ling Xingqian in the Blood Valley. Time flew by. Unknowingly, 3,000 years had passed. Due to the boundless blood fiendish qi obtained from killing the rhinoceros blood monster, which was of a higher level than other low-level blood monsters, it took a much longer time to absorb its blood fiendish qi. Absorbing such boundless blood fiendish qi was obviously beneficial to the blood fiendish qi. The 9 black stars on the blood-red robe became even darker and shinier. A shocking blood fiendish qi was surging within. Boundless blood fiendish qi was also surging within the blood fiendish qi. Su Fang's eyes were filled with fierce killing intent. It was estimated that he could destroy the Tao heart and will of an upper-level Tao truth cultivator with just a glance. After finishing his cultivation, he walked out of the cave abode. Huang Jiangpeng, Zhong Buyun, and Gao Tianlei were already waiting outside the cave abode. Without young Master Wu Dao, the 4 of them continued to travel together in the Blood Valley. They hunted and killed blood monsters everywhere. After obtaining the blood fiendish qi, they continued to cultivate on the spot. The 4 of them had also become more tacit. They were no longer wary of each other like before. Only Su Fang seemed more and more unfathomable in the hearts of the other 3. Gao Tianlei was fine. However, Huang Jiangpeng and Zhong Buyun did not see the expert hidden within their bodies. Instead, it was Su Fang who personally made a move. The strength that he displayed made the 2 of them look at him in a new light. How was he like the disciple of a major force who relied on experts to train? How would they know that there was no peerless expert within Su Fang's body? He was an expert who could crush ordinary Taoist masters. In the blink of an eye, close to 10,000 years had passed. The 4 of them had all reached the peak of 9-star Blood Kill Commander, and could become a Blood Kill Divine General at any time. At that time, they would be sensed by the will of the Blood Valley and be directly teleported out of the human slaughter zone and into the earthly slaughter zone. During these years of training, they had also obtained many blood fiendish stones. Su Fang had as many as 3 pieces. It was actually very simple for him to break through to the blood fiendish body. He could directly absorb the blood fiendish qi within the blood fiendish stones and advance at any time. Su Fang felt that his cultivation had also reached the peak of the upper Taoist realm. As long as he left the Blood Valley and survived the heavenly tribulation, he would become a Taoist lord. On this day, the 4 of them arrived at the edge of a boundless swamp. The swamp was extremely vast. Bubbles constantly emerged from the dark swamp. Above the swamp floated a hazy aura that revealed a strange aura of calamity and misfortune. Huang Jiangpeng hurriedly stopped the other 3 and said with a solemn expression, "That's the Marsh of Calamity, and it's the most dangerous place in the 9th level. So long as one comes into contact with even the slightest aura of calamity and misfortune, then one's karmic luck will be corroded. If one is attacked by the evil will within the Marsh of Calamity and Misfortune, then one might even lose one's life on the spot. That's the 9th level. It isn't just cultivators, even those blood monsters don't dare step foot into it. We have to go around it." The Marsh of Calamity? Su Fang couldn't help but frown when he sensed the aura contained within the gray aura. Zhong Daiyun suddenly sent a voice transmission over. "Young Master Su, the 7-color blood lotus I spoke of is in the depths of the Marsh of Calamity." Su Fang was very surprised as he never imagined that the 7-color blood lotus would actually be in such a strange and dangerous place. Zhong Daiyun continued. "Young Master Su wouldn't be retreating, right? Don't worry. Even though the Marsh of Calamity is dangerous, the aura of calamity and misfortune are unable to pose a threat to peak Daolords. That expert hidden within the space within young Master Su's body was able to annihilate a blood rhinoceros that's comparable to a Daolord with a single strike, so he probably possesses a strength at the peak of the peak Daolord realm. Young Master doesn't have to worry about anything with his protection." Su Fang rubbed the tip of his nose and grinned. Even though he didn't possess a strength at the peak of the peak Daolord realm, he possessed the Violet Luck Avatar, and it was capable of dealing with all calamity and misfortune. So, it just happened to be of use within the Marsh of Calamity. "I have to find a reason to separate from Huang Jiangpeng and Gao Tianlei," Su Fang replied to Zhong Daiyun. Zhong Daiyun nodded. Of course. While the 2 of them were conversing, over 10 cultivators flew over from the sky. "That's the person Ling Xingqian is looking for." One of the cultivators pointed at Su Fang and shouted coldly that was filled with complacency. Chapter 2694. Su Fang stared over. There was a total of over 10 experts that had come with young Master Wu Dao. All of them were in the form of blood fiend Dharma bodies and wore the blood-red robes of 9-star blood slaughter commanders. However, their cultivations were different. The person that was surrounded by over 10 people was a young man in black clothes around the age of 17 or 18. He had a handsome appearance, and his face revealed the arrogance and loftiness that only geniuses from great powers possessed. However, his cultivation was only at the lower Dao monarch realm. The 2 cultivators that stood on his left and right possessed extraordinary strength. One of them was at the upper Dao Lord realm, while the other was at the intermediate Dao Lord realm. Obviously, they were the young man's guards. This young man was the disciple of a great power that was of noble birth, and even had experts accompanying him while he was tempering himself. Su Fang sensed the aura of the 3 supreme mysterious sects from the young man and the 2 Daolords by his side. Su Fang knew that trouble had arrived. Ling Xingqian was unable to enter the 9th level, and this young man had obviously been instructed by Ling Xingqian to look for trouble. Moreover, it wasn't ordinary trouble. "You're Su Fang, Ling Xingqian?" The young man stood in midair with his hands behind his back, and he looked down at Su Fang and the others with a superior appearance. Su Fang nodded and said, "Yes, I'm Su Fang." Young Master Wu Dao berated loudly, "How audacious! Quickly kneel before young Master Chang Sun." Su Fang ridiculed, "No one will stop you if you're willing to be young Master Chang Sun's dog and kneel before him. I, Su Fang, am not a dog, so how could I kneel before anyone? Kid, you're courting death." Young Master Wu Dao was furious. Huang Jiangping asked, "Young Master Wu Dao, who's young Master Chang Sun?" Young Master Wu Dao revealed a complacent expression and said proudly, "Young Master Chang Sun Yaoyang is the grandson of the Grand Elder of the three supreme mysterious sects. He possesses a noble status. Huang Jiangping, I advise you to leave Su Fang as soon as possible. He's a liar." When Huang Jiangping heard the identity of young Master Zhang Sun, he immediately revealed a look of shock and awe. Then, he looked at Su Fang in astonishment. Young noble Wu Dao said with disdain, "How could this person be a disciple of a great power? Not only is he from a lowly heaven-forsaken slave clan from a low-level universe, but he is also extremely daring and offended the genius of the three supreme mysterious sects, Ling Xingchen. Such a lowly ant, if you stay with him, you will also suffer great misfortune." Huang Jiangping, Zhong Diun, and Gao Tianlei were all surprised and shocked as they looked at Su Fang in disbelief. Su Fang casually said, "That young Master Wu Dao is right. I, Su Fang, am indeed from a low-level universe and have offended the experts of the three highest mysterious sects." Young noble Wu Dao snorted. "You've shown your true colors now, haven't you? Huang Jiangping, Zhong Buyun, come over here obediently and follow this young master. This young master will spare your lives." Huang Jiangping hesitated for a moment, then cupped his fists towards Su Fang. "Brother Su, I'm sorry." With that, he flew towards Daolas. However, Zhong Diun didn't move and had no intention of going over. Gao Tianlei said furiously, "Brother Su Zhentian with me, Gao Tianlei, here, let's see who dares to touch you." "Thank you, both of you." Su Fang nodded towards the two of them. Zhong Diun transmitted his thoughts. "No need to thank me. I'm still hoping to enter the swamp with you to search for the rainbow blood lotus." Su Fang smiled as he replied, "I don't have any experts protecting me, yet you're still so confident in me?" Zhong Diun smiled faintly. "No matter who it is that killed the rhinoceros blood monster, it's sufficient to prove your strength." At this moment, young noble Zhang Sun Yaoyang spoke lazily. "Suppress that ant. This young noble is in a hurry to temper himself. If it wasn't for giving face to Ling Xingchen, how could I waste my time on an ant?" Swoosh, 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 swoosh. The 10+ experts behind Zhang Sun Yaoyang, except for the two Daolas experts, fought to be the first to charge towards Su Fang. Zhong Diun said hurriedly, "Quickly retreat into the swamp. They absolutely won't dare to pursue you inside. If you want to kill Su Fang, then you have to pay a corresponding price. Let's kill to our heart's content first, and then it won't be too late to retreat into the swamp." Su Fang revealed the loftiness of a peerless overlord, and his domineering voice was still reverberating. A violent and ferocious aura shot into the sky from the blood demon avatar, and it swept towards the 10+ cultivators like a tide. At this moment, Su Fang had instantly transformed into a god of slaughter. "Kill!" he shouted coldly, and the flame-step boots beneath his feet emitted an explosive sound as his figure shot out violently like a bolt of lightning. Su Fang's blood demon avatar was different from that of other cultivators. It was seized from Yang Dingtian, and at the same time, integrated with the immortal blood spirit and absorbed the vital blood qi from the experts who had surpassed the Daolas realm. Not only was it superior to other 9-star blood kill commanders, but the killing aura it released also contained incomparable violence and ferocity. Those cultivators who charged towards Su Fang were 9-star blood kill commanders, but under the impact of Su Fang's fierce killing aura, their Taoist hearts and wills were all shaken, and their eyes were filled with fear, and their bodies were also sluggish for a moment. Boom! a cultivator at the Upper Tao Master Realm, under the impact of Su Fang's amazing speed with the help of the flame step boots, was smashed into pieces, and his blood demon avatar and body were instantly devoured by Su Fang's blood demon avatar. In a split second, Su Fang came in front of Master Wu Dao. Master Wu Dao revealed an expression of shock and terror. Never had he imagined that when facing so many experts, not only had Su Fang not fled, he had even arrived by his side. Die! Su Fang shouted coldly in a domineering manner, and his slaughter intent attacked Master Wu Dao's Taoist heart and wills, and then he smashed Master Wu Dao's head into pieces with a single punch. Huang Jiangping, who stood by Master Wu Dao's side, was terrified by Su Fang's formidable and ruthless methods. You deserve to die as well. Su Fang looked at Zhang Sun Yaoyang, and monstrous killing intent covered the heavens and the earth as it swept over. Ant, you're courting death. The intermediate Taoist realm cultivator behind Zhang Sun Yaoyang shouted coldly, and then a thought flashed out from between his brows. The distance between Su Fang and Zhang Sun Yaoyang was originally only around 300 m away, but the divine might emanated by the thought of the intermediate Taoist realm cultivator instantly caused the distance between them to become extremely far away. Su Fang was ceaselessly utilizing the flame step boots, yet it was impossible for him to cross this distance in a short period of time. Lowly ant! You actually dared to threaten young Master Zhang Sun. You deserve death. That expert at the intermediate Daolord realm instantly teleported over to Su Fang, and then he slashed his hand down to grab Su Fang. In an instant, the space around Su Fang seemed as if it had been frozen, and he was unable to move at all. He could only watch helplessly as that expert suppressed him. His red light shot out from Su Fang's eyes, and it entered the Taoist realm expert's Tao palace from between his brows. H! The expert let out a shrill cry. He was caught off guard by Su Fang's true incineration eyes, and it directly burned his soul. Damn it! It's all of you! Su Fang shouted coldly in a domineering manner while a vertical eye suddenly split open between his brows, and then a strand of divine might shot out from within it. It instantly swept through the sky and transformed into a rod that carried an imposing aura capable of shattering the heavens and the earth as it smashed down forcefully onto that expert. Pooh! Blood sprayed towards the surroundings. At this moment, that expert's blood-fiend avatar that had fused with his body had been smashed into mush and blood. Su Fang's blood-fiend avatar executed the innate divine ability he'd obtained from fusing the undying blood spirit with the demon monkey. It was ferocious, overbearing, and actually possessed terrifying might. Swoosh! That expert's avatar emerged from within the blood mist and fled in an extremely horrified manner. Su Fang's blood-fiend avatar directly swallowed the blood mist without holding back in the slightest. What sort of evil divine ability is that? It's actually capable of directly swallowing a blood-fiend avatar. That expert's avatar that was lucky enough to survive cried out involuntarily with shock, and he gazed at Su Fang with extreme terror. Everyone deserves to be killed by such an evil person. The figure of that Taoist realm expert flashed out from behind Zhang Sun Yaoyang, and he instantly teleported over to Su Fang before a Xian Guang shot out from his eyes and enveloped Su Fang within it. Su Fang sensed that the flow of time in the space he resided in had suddenly slowed down, and it was even to the extent that the circulation of his consciousness had slowed down by a few times. When he recovered from his shock, that expert's right hand that carried the might of time had instantly appeared before his eyes, and it intended to annihilate him. A strand of red light surged out from Su Fang's eyes, and it transformed into a multicolored illusion that caused that expert to be unable to help but be stunned. It turned out that Su Fang's Darkyang avatar had executed the ability of the infernal dream illusory cloud to create illusions, and it had caught that Taoist realm expert off guard and caused him to be dazed for an instant. After that, Su Fang's blood-fiend avatar switched with his Darkyang avatar, and then the strength of Xian Tianqing, ancestral Gragon, and a few dozen experts under his command suddenly shot into the Dark Yang avatar. His. Su Fang stretched out his hand to grab numerous strands of sword qi under his Dark Yang avatar, and then layers of sword qi fused together around him. He'd actually executed the origin restoration sword formation as soon as he attacked. A circle of sword qi smashed down towards that Taoist realm expert, and it even sliced space into pieces. That Taoist realm expert was still in a state where his Tao heart and will had been lost to the illusions, and he was sliced into pieces by the origin restoration sword formation to the point he wasn't even able to protect his avatar. A Taoist realm expert had perished just like that. Moreover, he wasn't an ordinary Taoist realm expert, and he was an expert from the three sovereign profound sects. His strength was comparable to an ordinary peak Taoist realm expert. Huang Jiangping, Zhong Buyun, and Gao Tianlei gazed at Su Fang while tempestuous waves arose in their hearts. At this moment, they finally understood that Su Fang didn't need the protection of any experts at all. With the strength he possessed, could anyone stop him in the 9th level? You want to kill me, Su Fang? Are you prepared to die? Monstrous killing intent erupted from Su Fang as he gazed at Zhang Sun Yaoyang. Zhang Sun Yaoyang shouted in a domineering and cold manner. This young master is the grandson of the Grand Elder of the three sovereign profound sects. Even experts that surpass the Taoist realm in the sect have to bow obediently when they see me. You lowly ant from a low-level universe. If you dare to harm even a hair on my head, then not only will you lose your life, my grandfather will annihilate your entire clan. Idiot! Su Fang laughed coldly with disdain. He took a step forward and pounced directly at Zhang Sun Yaoyang, and then he fused the strength of all the experts under his command and smashed his fist forward. Swoosh! Zhang Sun Yaoyang withdrew a talisman, and then he crushed it, and it transformed into a lofty figure that stood before him. Rumble! The figure flicked its sleeve and swept out a strand of divine might that shook space, and it collided with Su Fang's attack. It caused a wave of great tremors that shook the heavens and the earth, and it actually blasted Su Fang flying. Chapter 2695. Talisman Treasure? What kind of treasure is that? It's actually so powerful. Su Fang was struck casually by that figure to the point his Skyearth avatar was almost shattered. In the end, he fell to the edge of the swamp, and he spat out a mouthful of blood essence while his body was injured, causing his aura to instantly become dispirited and listless. At this moment, Shi Xian Daozu's voice resounded in the Jiuxuan Dao Palace. That's a talisman treasure formed by an unparalleled expert who did not hesitate to sacrifice his own origin energy. When activated in a critical moment, the talisman treasure can unleash a portion of the unparalleled expert's power. The talisman treasure is comparable to an expert's avatar. However, every time it is activated, a portion of its power will be consumed. When its power is exhausted, the entire talisman treasure will be useless. I see. That Zhang Sun Yaoyang possesses such a powerful talisman treasure. It seems like his identity is indeed extraordinary. The three supreme profound sects are a super force in the Eastern profound divine domain that is second only to the Heaven Pavilion. In the entire Jiuxuan divine domain, it can be considered a powerful force. The cultivation of the great elder of the sect is even more powerful than the 6 extreme Tao saint. The talisman treasure that he personally created is naturally extraordinary. Its power is not below that of the 6 extreme Tao saints' avatar. It seems like I have no choice but to personally take action this time to resolve the crisis for you. Even Shi Xian Daozu had to take the initiative to take action. It could be seen how powerful the talisman treasure was. Master, there's no need for you to take action for now. Have you forgotten that this is the swamp and I have the purple fate avatar? Oh, I forgot about that. Be careful. After ending his conversation with Shi Xian Daozu, Su Fang immediately shouted at Zhong Diun and Gao Tianlei. "Let's go. Enter the swamp." After saying that, he activated the Flame Stampede treasured boots and charged into the gray sky above the swamp like a bolt of lightning. Zhong Diun and Gao Tianlei were still immersed in the intense shock brought about by Su Fang's powerful strength. After being shouted at by Su Fang, they regained their senses and charged into the swamp without hesitation. They actually fled into the swamp. "The three of them are dead." Huang Jiangping sighed, and then he felt fortunate. Su Fang can be considered to be an extraordinary genius. Unfortunately, he was too arrogant and conceited to actually try in vain to go against the three supreme profound sects. Fortunately, I drew a clear line of him was separated from him in time, otherwise, he would be unable to escape death, just like Zhong Diun and Gao Tianlei. "All of you, go in and capture that damned ant for me." The figure in front of Zhang Sun Yaoyang swayed and quickly condensed into a rune talisman again. He grabbed the rune talisman and shouted angrily at the experts under him. "That of a Fang of you is of you definitely dead. Fang that Fang has fled of his of you entered of that of Fang. It him. Of him of Fang it. It Fang. It. Of it. It of Fang. Capture him. If he's alive, I want to see him. If he's dead, I want to see his corpse." That intermediate Daolord felt very helpless. It couldn't be helped because young Master Changsuan's face was much more important than their lives. "All of you, enter the swamp. Don't blame me for being merciless if you dare to retreat." That Daolord shouted loudly and coldly at those experts, and then he led them carefully into the swamp and pursued Su Fang. Huang Jiangping, who had been secretly feeling lucky earlier, was now complaining incessantly. However, he had no choice but to brace himself and follow the others into the swamp. The moment Su Fang charged into the air above the swamp, the gray aura floating in the air surged madly towards Su Fang like moths to a flame. In an instant, an astonishing aura of disaster and misfortune enveloped Su Fang. Ordinary calamities and misfortune were a type of karmic luck as well. They couldn't be seen with the naked eye, and even the soul core couldn't sense them. Even if one was tainted by calamity or misfortune, it would not cause one to die on the spot. However, the aura contained within the swamp was capable of causing any living being to suffer from illness and decay, and it was capable of causing any energy or laws to collapse. It was even to the extent that it caused the quintessence, soul, and even destiny to be corroded by misfortune and calamity, causing it to go out of control and cause unexpected changes to occur. Su Fang was extremely shocked as well. There's actually such a terrifying place within Blood Gorge. Swish! A strand of violet light shot violently towards Su Fang, and Su Fang stretched out his hand to grab it. It turned out to be a violet-colored talisman. Zhong Buyun's voice resounded. "This is a talisman that I condensed from the karmic luck of a profound world by utilizing a forbidden technique. It can resist the corrosion of the energy of the swamp, but it's very difficult to persist for too long. I wonder if I'll be able to find the rainbow blood lotus." "A talisman condensed from the karmic luck of a profound world? Looks like you were prepared for it." Su Fang chuckled and activated the talisman. A mysterious violet xian guang that contained the power of karmic luck surged out from the talisman, instantly enveloping Su Fang's body. The aura of disaster and misfortune that swept over was instantly blocked outside the violet light, unable to cause any harm to Su Fang. However, it was still constantly corroding and wearing away at the violet light's defenses. It seemed like it was just as Zhong Buyun had said. This talisman wouldn't be able to persist for much longer. Gao Tianlei also obtained a talisman. He grinned. "What's there to be afraid of? At worst, the three of us can become divine generals of blood kill in this swamp." The will of Bloodgorge will directly send us away. We'll leave this unlucky swamp and enter Bloodgorge's slaughter zone. The three of them had attained the peak state of 9th star Bloodgorge commanders a long time ago. Moreover, every single one of them possessed Bloodfiend stones. So long as they absorbed the Bloodfiend stones, they would be able to quickly advance into divine generals of Bloodkill and leave the swamp. Su Fong had annihilated the Bloodfiend avatar and body of that intermediate Dowlord from the Three Sovereign Profound sect earlier, and he devoured the Bloodfiend energy and vital blood of that Dowlord. If he hadn't sealed it intentionally, then he would probably be in a state of charging into the divine generals of Bloodkill. Now it would seem like we can only do that. Zhong Buyun spoke helplessly, and her eyes were filled with disappointment. It was easy to leave the swamp, yet they'd narrowly missed the 7-color blood lotus. So, how could she be willing to accept this? Su Fong chuckled. He was just about to utilize his violet fate avatar when countless bubbles suddenly arose from the swamp below them. Strands of dense gray and black aura gradually arose from within the bubbles, and they transformed into numerous human and beast-shaped phantoms that could only be seen through the soul core. Zhong Buyun's expression instantly changed, and her countenance instantly turned ghastly pale. Those are souls of calamity. There are actually souls of calamity. Let's leave quickly. Souls of calamity? It was something that Su Fong had never heard of. However, merely hearing its name caused a chill to run down their spines. Obviously, it was an evil being that was born from the Calamity Swamp. Souls of Calamity are evil beings that are unique to the Calamity Swamp of the Bloodgorge. According to legend, the Xenorace expert that was killed by Dongxian Daozu had devoured countless lives while he was alive. There were human cultivators, demon cultivators, and Xenorace experts. After a long period of precipitation and mutation, the resentment and baleful chi left behind by them formed these souls of calamity. Souls of calamity are extremely strange. They specialize in devouring the karmic luck of living beings, and they bring about boundless calamity and misfortune. It's even to the extent that they're capable of controlling the fate of living beings. Moreover, souls of calamity can't be killed, and they're extremely difficult to deal with. Zhong Buyun continued with her explanation. As she spoke, numerous gray-colored phantoms pounced towards the three of them, and they came into contact with the violet light barrier emanated by the talisman markings. Pooh! Pooh! It felt like a group of moths were ceaselessly striking the lampshade, and it emanated numerous muffled bangs. The violet light trembled without end and blasted those phantoms away. However, those phantoms could not be killed, and there were countless of them. Under the repeated attacks, the protection released by the talisman markings could not be continuously worn down, and it would not be long before it was exhausted. At that time, what awaited the three of them was the fate of being devoured by the souls of calamity. Swoosh! Swoosh! The Dowlord expert of the three supreme mysterious sects led a dozen experts and charged into the Calamity Swamp. Those are souls of calamity. Damn it, get out of here quickly! The Dowlord expert's divine light instantly changed. Fortunately, he was only left with his Dharma body and was not restrained by the physical body. In addition, he had mastered spatial abilities, so he activated a divine power that distorted space and swept his Dharma body out of the Calamity Swamp. The other dozen experts did not have the strength of that Dowlord expert. While they were still pondering over what the souls of calamity were, countless souls of calamity swept towards them with a whoosh. They penetrated their defenses and burrowed into their bodies, frenziedly devouring their fate. Su Fong, Zhong Buyun, and Gao Tianlei were also in danger. The protective divine power released by the talisman markings could not be maintained for long, and their defenses were about to be broken by the souls of calamity. Purple Fate Dharma Body. Su Fong immediately activated his Purple Fate Dharma Body and switched places with the Xian Wang Dharma Body, fusing with his physical body. A mysterious purple light, filled with supreme fate, condensed into a halo and erupted from Su Fang's body. Chi, chi, chi. Wherever the purple light swept, the souls of calamity that could not be killed were shattered layer by layer. Like moths encountering a raging flame, they were instantly incinerated into wisps of black smoke and dissipated. Not only were the souls of calamity around Su Fang swept away, but even the densely packed souls of calamity around Zhong Buyun and Gao Tianlei were swept away like the autumn wind sweeping away fallen leaves. The souls of calamity that had surged like waves earlier were swept away by the fate of Su Fang's purple fate Dharma body within a radius of 1,000 feet. A vacuum appeared. Zhong Buyun and Gao Tianlei stared dumbfoundedly at Su Fang, who had turned into two ice sculptures. Su Fang continued to use his purple fate Dharma body, releasing a divine power that enveloped Zhong Buyun and Gao Tianlei. Not only the souls of calamity, but even the aura of calamity and misfortune above the swamp could not penetrate the area covered by the divine power. All hail the people of Su Fangda! Gao Tianlei reacted and let out a thunderous roar. Zhong Buyun looked at Su Fang with eyes full of disbelief. He muttered to himself, "Brother Su is indeed unfathomable. Brother Su Fang, save me, people of Su Fangda, save me!" Huang Jiangpeng was forced into the swamp with the other experts. Like the others, he was also unlucky and was surrounded by countless souls of calamity. The souls of calamity could not be stopped by any defense. They burrowed into his body and not only devoured his fate crazily, but they also brought diseases and death to his physical body and Dharma body. In just 4 to 5 breaths, Huang Jiangpeng felt extremely weak. More than half of his fate had been devoured, and black blood kept flowing out of his 7 orifices. It was a horrifying sight. Chapter 2696. Gao Tianlei sneered. "Huang Jiangpeng, you're such an opportunist. Didn't you pledge allegiance to that young master Wu Dao? It's too late to beg for mercy now." Zhong Buyun also said, "People from Su Fangda, Huang Jiangpeng cannot be saved." Su Fang nodded and said, "I have my own decision." Then, he looked at Huang Jiangpeng and the experts who were struggling on the brink of death, and said in a majestic voice, "I can save your lives, but I will not do it for free. If I save you, you must submit to me." Huang Jiangpeng hesitated. Su Fang was a cultivator from a low-level universe. He was from the lowly heaven-forsaken slave race, and had offended the 3 highest mysterious sects. Although his life was hanging by a thread, submitting to Su Fang meant that he could not escape death. How could Huang Jiangpeng not hesitate? An expert from the 3 highest mysterious sects sneered disdainfully. "I am an expert under young Master Zhangsun Yaoyang. Who do you think you are to be my master?" Another young cultivator who had pledged allegiance to Zhangsun Yaoyang shouted domineeringly, "It won't be long before you become young Master Zhangsun's prisoner. You still want us to submit to you? Everyone has their own aspirations. Whether you submit or not, I, Su Fang, will not force you." Su Fang smiled indifferently. Under the protection of his purple fate avatar, he was about to bring Zhong Buyun and Gao Tianlei into the depths of the disaster swamp. "Submit? I'm willing to submit." Huang Jiangpeng shouted loudly. He was going all out now. He had to save his life first. Other than a few people who were still hesitating, the other experts also started to speak. Su Fang separated his palms and shot out rays of purple light that wrapped around Huang Jiangpeng and the others. The unparalleled power of fortune contained in the purple light swept away all the souls, calamities, and misfortune that had been enveloping them. Not only that, the purple light seeped into their bodies. Shrill screams that only their souls could sense came from the depths of their bodies. The evil spirits that had entered their bodies were also wiped out by the supreme luck of Su Fang's purple fate avatar. "Come over quickly," Su Fang shouted coldly. Huang Jiangpeng and the others were both surprised and overjoyed. They hurriedly flew towards Su Fang. Under the cover of Su Fang's purple fate avatar, they were finally out of danger. "Open your souls and accept this Lord's shackles," Su Fang said majestically. Huang Jiangpeng and the others had a total of 12 people. Although they were very unwilling, they had no choice but to obediently give up resisting. They allowed Su Fang to cast his vital spirit and the life-shrinking art of heavenly mystery to transform into layers of seal seeds, shackling their souls and even their fate. Even though none of these cultivators were Tao Lords, every single one of them was extraordinary and possessed strength comparable to an ordinary Tao Lord. Moreover, all of them were 9-star blood killer commanders. At this moment, when they were shackled by Su Fang, it was equivalent to 12 more formidable experts under Su Fang's command. Some of them had originally planned to pretend to submit to Su Fang and wait for an opportunity to break free from Su Fang's shackles in the future. They might even rebel against Su Fang and suppress Su Fang. However, after Su Fang shackled them, they discovered to their despair that not only were their souls shackled, even their fates were under Su Fang's control. Not to mention rebelling, they couldn't even think of rebelling. This was the power of the life-shrinking art of heavenly mystery. QL 11-inch you must still be filled with unwillingness and think that submitting to my heaven-forsaken slave tribe is a great humiliation. It won't be long before you realize that submitting to Su Fang isn't a bad thing. Instead, it's a great fortune for you. Su Fang revealed a domineering smile, and then sucked the 12 experts into his Xian Huang avatar. Seeing Huang Jiangpeng end up like this, Zhong Buyun sighed in her heart. If she and Gao Tianlei had made the same choice as Huang Jiangpeng, they would definitely have ended up like Huang Jiangpeng and become Su Fang's slaves. The world of cultivation was like this. A single choice was enough to determine a cultivator's fate and future. There were still 3 cultivators who would rather die than submit to Su Fang. At this moment, they had already been devoured by countless souls. Their fates were even more miserable than Huang Jiangpeng's. Under the protection of Su Fang's purple fate avatar, the 3 of them quickly left this area and flew towards the depths of the adversity swamp. When they arrived at the place where the souls were extinct, the rune talismans given by Zhong Buyun were enough to deal with the calamities and misfortune in the adversity swamp. Su Fang also withdrew his purple fate avatar. Gao Tianlei, advance to Godlord of Bloody Slaughter first and leave the adversity swamp. To prevent the 3 supreme mysterious sects from taking their anger out on you, immediately return to ancient Azure City after leaving the Blood Valley. When I leave the Blood Valley, I'll go to ancient Azure City to find you, Su Fang instructed Gao Tianlei. You and Miss Zhong aren't leaving? Gao Tianlei asked in surprise. Soon after, he revealed an expression of enlightenment and chuckled. I understand. I'll be a hindrance if I stay here. It's better if I leave as soon as possible. Zhong Buyun's face flushed red. She glared fiercely at Gao Tianlei, but this made Gao Tianlei even more confident in his judgment. He smiled even more ambiguously. Afterwards, Gao Tianlei sat cross-legged in the air above the adversity swamp. He took out the blood fiend stone and madly devoured it. In a mere 3 days, Gao Tianlei's blood fiend avatar surged with astonishing blood fiend chi and disappeared into nothingness. A moment later, a bloody light surged out from nothingness and enveloped Gao Tianlei. Then, it forcefully swept him away from the space, causing him to disappear without a trace. Su Fang and Zhong Buyun continued deeper into the adversity swamp. As expected of the Blood Valley's forbidden ground for human cultivators, the deeper they went, the stronger the souls they encountered became. The rune talisman that Zhong Buyun condensed from the fate of the sealed world had long lost its effect. Only now did she realize how lucky she was to be able to meet Su Fang this time. If not for Su Fang's purple fate avatar, the rune talisman she prepared beforehand would have been completely useless. They would have died not long after entering the adversity swamp, let alone finding the rainbow blood lotus. However, it was fortunate that Su Fang had Zhong Buyun with him. She had the coordinates of the rainbow blood lotus. Otherwise, even if Su Fang knew that the rainbow blood lotus was in the adversity swamp, it would be difficult for him to find it in the vast adversity swamp. After flying for about 3 months, the two of them arrived at a body of water. Black blood water constantly roiled in the water, emitting a nauseating stench and the aura of calamity and misfortune. Su Fang had no choice but to activate his purple fate avatar with all his might and release a protective aura. It formed a barrier around the two of them to resist the terrifying aura that constantly assaulted them. After flying for more than 2 hours, Zhong Buyun suddenly exclaimed in surprise, "We're almost there." Su Fang displayed the extraordinary strength of a complete perfection saint and looked in the direction that Zhong Buyun was pointing at. 100 miles away, he could see a 7-colored light dispersing the surrounding aura of calamity and misfortune. In the center of the 7-colored light, there was a 1-foot-long lotus flower. It had a total of 7 petals, and each petal released a different color of xianguang. It exuded a divine aura, forming a sharp contrast with the evil and strange environment of the adversity swamp. That's right, that's the rainbow blood lotus. I didn't think that such a spiritual object could be nurtured in the depths of the adversity swamp. Su Fang's eyes flashed with a bright light. He was about to speed up Su Fang's flight in that direction. Wait! Zhong Buyun hurriedly reminded him, there's an extremely powerful and evil monster guarding the rainbow blood lotus. Back then, my father was injured by that monster. Although he escaped from the adversity swamp, it was difficult for him to preserve his life. His life is hanging by a thread now. Su Fang's eyebrows furrowed. What monster is that? Zhong Buyun shook his head. My father doesn't know the monster's name. He didn't even see what it looked like. When he saw the rainbow blood lotus, he was overjoyed and wanted to pluck it. In the end, he was ambushed by the monster from the bottom of the water. He relied on his supreme Xian Guang to escape. I see. Let's test it out first and see what kind of monster it is. Su Fang flew slowly towards the rainbow blood lotus. When he was a dozen miles away from the rainbow blood lotus, Su Fang waved his hand and shot out a ray of sword qi, shooting it towards the blood water below the rainbow blood lotus. The sword qi shot into the water. Qi, qi, qi. Invisible threads that even the primordial spirit could not see appeared. However, Su Fang could see them clearly in the state of his purple fate dharma body. They looked like the threads of a spider. In an instant they appeared before Su Fang. The speed of the threads surpassed the limits of time and space. The power it contained was not formed from the natural energy of heaven and earth. It was the power of fate that was very similar to the power of the purple fate dharma body. The threads instantly sank into Su Fang's purple fate dharma body. Purple qi quickly flowed out of the threads. What the hell is this? It can swallow the fate of my purple fate dharma body. Su Fangdao was shocked. He activated the power of his purple fate dharma body, shattering the threads one by one. Hiss! Hiss! The threads quickly shrank back. Then, a shadow slowly rose from below the rainbow blood lotus. He looked over. In the eyes of the purple fate dharma body, the shadow was a mass of white mist. It looked a bit like a spider, only 3 feet long. Ordinary cultivators would have a hard time discovering its existence. What the hell is that? Su Fang was shocked and stunned. Although Zhong Buyun could not see the spider-like thing, he looked over there cautiously. Shi Xian Daozu suddenly said, Such a strange thing could be born in the Blood Valley. I didn't expect it, I really didn't expect it. Su Fang quickly asked, Master, what kind of monster is that? That monster is called a luck spider. It is not a beast. As for how it came to be, even I am not sure. It should be very similar to your purple qi dharma spirit. This thing is very strange. It is the opposite of the purple qi dharma spirit. Not only can the luck spider devour fate, it can also devour the fate of cultivators, demons, foreign races, and even a mystic world. It can also bring disaster and bad luck. I remember that a long time ago, when the Jiuxuan divine realm was just established, human cultivators were still very weak. They were attacked by a powerful foreign race from the depths of chaos, the tyrannical spirit clan. They were in danger of being destroyed. A luck spider appeared out of nowhere. The tyrannical spirit clan tried to suppress it. In the end, the luck spider took revenge and devoured the tyrannical spirit clan's fate. In the end, the tyrannical spirit clan was destroyed. The crisis of the human race was also resolved. Chapter 2697. Unexpectedly. Su Fang had never imagined that the seemingly unremarkable monster would be so shocking that it could affect the rise and fall of the human race. Shi Xian Daozu continued, although the luck spider saved the entire human race, it also brought disaster to the human race. Later, the luck spider charged into the Jiuxuan realm of the gods. Wherever it went, disaster ran rampant. It also wantonly devoured the fortunes of mystic worlds, leading to the destruction of many mystic worlds and a catastrophe. In the end, it was the destiny platform that acted and suppressed the luck spider, resolving the catastrophe for the human race. Su Fang was shocked again. He asked incredulously, "That little luck spider is so terrifying?" Shi Xian Daozu laughed involuntarily. The luck spider in the swamp is clearly still in its infancy. How can it compare to the luck spider of the past? It probably doesn't even have a 10,000th of the luck spider of the past. Otherwise, why would it stay in this tiny blood valley? It would have left long ago. Who knows what kind of catastrophe it would bring to the Jiuxuan realm of the god. The luck spider you see now will probably live for several more epochs. It will also continue to devour fortunes. Perhaps it will have a chance to grow to the same level as the luck spider of the past. Su Fang heaved a sigh of relief. If the luck spider in front of him was as powerful as Shi Xian Daozu said, Su Fang would have turned and left without hesitation. How could he dare to provoke such a terrifying existence? Looking at the luck spider, Su Fang's eyes brightened. "Master, then can I suppress the luck spider?" After the destiny platform suppressed the luck spider, it became the guardian beast of the destiny platform. This is also why no one dares to provoke the destiny platform in the Jiuxuan realm of the god. You have the purple fate avatar and the life-shrinking art. You should be able to suppress this immature luck spider. If you can possess a luck spider, even if it is in its infancy, the benefits it will bring you in the future will be astounding. Haha, with the purple fate avatar, you will be a star of calamity. Who will dare provoke you? Shi Xian Daozu's words filled Su Fang with anticipation. If the luck spider and the purple fate avatar worked together, the purple fate avatar would bring unparalleled luck to Su Fang, while the luck spider would be used to devour the luck of enemies, bringing disaster and bad luck to powerful enemies. In the future, if anyone dared to provoke Su Fang, he would release the luck spider and devour the luck of the other party, or even a profound world or power. Great Calamity Star, hee, I want to become that great Calamity Star. Everyone who mentions my name will tremble. Su Fang chuckled. Activating his purple fate avatar, he flew towards the spider without hesitation. Human. Suddenly, a gloomy voice sounded in Su Fang's mind. It was the mermaids transmitting their thoughts. It was best if they could communicate. Su Fang immediately responded, "Spider luck, what do you want to say?" "Human, your aura makes me feel very excited, but also very fearful. That should be the Dharma body you cultivated. It will be of great benefit to my growth. Why don't we make a deal?" "A deal?" A monster wanted to make a deal? Su Fang could not help but laugh. "That's right. You must want the spiritual treasure that I am guarding, and I hope to have your Dharma body. Why don't we make a deal? You can have the spiritual treasure, but you can leave your Dharma body to me. That way, neither of us will lose out. I am about to suppress you, and you want my purple fate avatar." Su Fang did not know whether to laugh or cry. Your Dharma body may be able to suppress me, but it is too weak. Do you think you can suppress me? Since you are not willing to make a deal, then I will have to kill you and devour everything. The luck spider roared, causing Su Fang's Doctrine Palace and Doctrine Heart to tremble. Swish, swish, swish. Following this, the luck spider opened its mouth and spat out a white fog, which contained shocking fate power. It was not the kind of power that could bring people fate. On the contrary, it was a power that could cause people to fall into disaster and misfortune. Su Fang's purple fate avatar breathed out a purple chi that collided with the strange white mist. It was like a ladle of water had been poured into a pot of oil. The white and the purple chi of nothingness began to boil, creating a silent but shocking explosion. Hiss, hiss, hiss. The luck spider opened its mouth and breathed out threads. In an instant, they weaved into a giant net that covered the sky and covered Su Fang. Su Fang did not dare to be careless. He activated his purple fate avatar and turned the purple chi into rays of sword chi. He shot them at the giant net and tore it into pieces. A soundless but incomparably dangerous exchange of blows unfolded between Su Fang and the Spider King. For a short period of time, neither Su Fang nor the luck spider could do anything to the other. Su Fang knew that if this dragged on, it would be disadvantageous for him. After all, this was the luck spider's territory. Purple Chi Avatar, help me! A crack suddenly appeared between Su Fang's eyebrows. A Xian Guang flashed out and turned into Su Fang. It was the Heavenly Path Avatar. Although Zhong Diyun could not see the battle between Su Fang and the luck spider, he knew how dangerous it was. He had already hidden hundreds of miles away. At this moment, when they saw Su Fang release another Dharma body, a wave of emotions immediately arose in their hearts. The more avatars a cultivator had, the more powerful they were and the more talented they were in cultivation. Up until now, Zhong Diyun knew that Su Fang had at least 4 avatars, including the Blood Evil avatar. Ordinary cultivators could only cultivate 1 avatar other than their physical body. It was because of the Blood Evil avatar that countless cultivators flocked to the Blood Valley. Su Fang had cultivated 4 avatars. How shocking was this? Moreover, Su Fang was still in the true Tao realm, but he could release avatars outside his physical body. This showed that his avatars were far superior to cultivators of the same level. Genius! This person is a true peerless genius. Zhong Diyun looked at Su Fang in shock. Boom! Su Fang's Heavenly Path avatar suddenly exploded with a purple chi. The majestic Heavenly Path fate swept toward the luck spider with a crushing force. The luck spider's silk was shattered layer by the Heavenly Path fate and the purple luck avatar's power of providence. The luck spider was also sent flying. Human, you're not simple. I'm not your match, but you can forget about suppressing me. Seeing that the situation was not good, the luck spider plunged into the bloody water below. Little did he know, just as the spider fell into the pool of blood, a thin line shot out from between Su Fang's eyebrows. In a flash, it crossed the distance between the two of them and entered the spider's body in the pool of blood. Life-pulling karma line. In order to suppress the luck spider, Su Fang did not hesitate to use the Heavenly Path life shrinking technique to plant karma in the luck spider's body. Come out! Su Fang pulled one end of the karma line, and the luck spider's fate was immediately controlled. It involuntarily flew out of the bloody water like a puppet controlled by an invisible string. No, I will never submit to a puny human. The luck spider was still resisting at the beginning. However, no matter how much it struggled, how could it resist fate? Su Fang controlled the karma line and pulled the luck spider into the Jiuquan Dao Palace. However, Su Fang continued to use the Heavenly Path life shrinking technique, and at the same time, he used the 6 extreme Dao Saints' will to crush it. Under the pressure of fate and the 6 extreme Dao Saints' powerful will, the luck spider gradually stopped resisting. It finally calmed down and became extremely docile. With the luck spider and the purple fate Dharma body, I have the ability to control my own fate and the fate of others. When the luck spider is strong enough, I can even control the fate of the mystic world and even the major forces. From now on, in the Jiuquan divine realm, who can stop my heaven-defying rise? Su Fang's aura was weak, but his eyes were incomparably hale and hearty. His entire body exuded a supreme domineering aura. This time, using the heavenly path life shrinking technique had caused Su Fang to pay a heavy price. Not only was his spirit weak, but he had also lost nearly half of his lifespan. His hair had turned gray, and he looked like an old man. Even the heavenly path Dharma body, purple fate Dharma body, and other Dharma bodies had their auras weakened, as if their origins had been damaged. Forcefully planting fate and controlling the fate of others would consume a large amount of life force. The luck spider was a monster formed by fate, and belonged to the category of fate. When Su Fang used the heavenly path life shrinking technique to control its fate, the consumption was even more shocking. Su Fang kept the heavenly path Dharma body back into the Jiuquan Dao Palace. Then, he stretched out his hand and grabbed at the rainbow blood lotus. The rainbow blood lotus separated from the blood water with its roots and flower, and landed in Su Fang's hand. The rainbow blood lotus had 7 colors, and the lotus root was 3 feet long. There were a total of 3 segments, and it looked like it was condensed from fresh blood. This was probably the origin of the rainbow blood lotus name. The luck spider's pitiful voice sounded, "Master, this spiritual item can help me transform and increase my strength. I beg Master to bestow me with its roots." "I only need 1 segment," Su Fang replied. "This Lord understands." At this moment, Zhong Dian flew over to Su Fang. Looking at the rainbow blood lotus in Su Fang's hand, he hesitated for a moment before saying, "Su Fangda, it was all thanks to your strength that we obtained the rainbow blood lotus. I don't have the qualifications to ask you for it, but this concerns my father's life and death. I can only be thick-skinned and ask you." Su Fang said, "I want 1 segment of the rainbow blood lotus root. If it has any impact on the treatment of your father's injuries, I can go with you and help your father recover." The main culprit of Zhong Dian's father's injuries was the luck spider. He wasn't really injured, but his fate was sucked dry. He was eroded by the power of calamity and misfortune, as well as the power of decay and plague. Su Fang naturally had a way to deal with it. Zhong Dian heaved a sigh of relief and said decisively, "I only need 1 segment to treat my father's injuries. As for the remaining 2 segments, Su Fangda can take them all. If I need Su Fangda's help, I will have to trouble my lord." "That would be great." Su Fang waved his hand and swept out a sharp sword aura. He cut off a segment of the lotus root and handed it to Zhong Dian. The remaining 2 segments of the lotus root, along with the rainbow blood lotus, were sealed by Su Fang and kept in the Jiuquan Dao Palace. Chapter 2698. Although Su Fang had the purple fate avatar, the adversity swamp was not a place to stay for long. In addition, he had used the life-shrinking art and lost a shocking amount of lifespan. He had to recover as soon as possible. In his current state, it was not suitable for him to become a divine general of bloody slaughter. In the Earth Oblivion Zone, who knew what dangers awaited him, especially Ling Xingchen, Su Fang had to be on guard. It would not be too late to enter the Earth Oblivion Zone after he recovered to his peak state. In the state where the purple fate avatar merged with his physical body, Su Fang quickly left the adversity swamp with Zhong Dian and came to the Blood Valley outside the adversity swamp. Su Fang had already predicted that with Zhang Sun Yaoyang's personality, he would not have the patience to wait outside. Besides, Su Fang had escaped into the adversity swamp. In his opinion, he would die without a doubt. There was no need to wait. "Su Fangda, thank you for your help this time. If there is a chance, I will definitely repay you." Once they walked out of the adversity swamp, Zhong Dian cupped her fists to thank Su Fang and then left. In the Blood Valley, there was a door that allowed cultivators to leave. It could directly transport them to the time and space they were in before they entered the Blood Valley. Zhong Dian was in a hurry to return and use the rainbow blood lotus to heal her father. Therefore, she did not become a divine general of bloody slaughter and left the Blood Valley directly from the human slaughter zone. If not for Zhongdiun, I would not have been able to obtain the spider and rainbow blood lotus. I hope she can heal my father. Otherwise, I will have to help. Su Fang found a remote mountain valley. He opened a cave abode and created a formation. Then he began to consume ancient pills and the blood essence of experts to recover his life. This time, he had used up a lot of energy. Fortunately, Shi Xian Daozu had given Su Fang an ancient pill to replenish his lifespan. Together with the blood essence of experts that surpassed Dao Master, Su Fang's recovery speed was shocking. As he recovered, Su Fang peeled off a section of the rainbow blood lotus root for the spider to consume. There was only one section left. Su Fang could not use it for now. However, such a rare spiritual item was definitely a priceless treasure. Su Fang sealed the lotus root and the lotus together. Perhaps they would be of great use in the future. Su Fang released Huang Jiangpeng and the other experts he had just subdued, telling them to break through to the bloody kill divinity as soon as possible. The Su Fang had shackled their souls and fates, so they weren't afraid of rebellions and the like. Time passed. Unknowingly, nearly 1,000 years had passed. Su Fang's HP was finally restored to its peak. It's time to swallow the blood evil stone and become a divine general of blood slaughter. Then, I will head to the earth slaughter region. Ling Xingqian, I hope to see you there. Fierce killing intent gushed out of Su Fang's heart. He flipped his right hand and took out a blood evil stone. Then, he merged the Blood Fiend avatar with his physical body and began to absorb the Blood Fiend aura from the Blood Fiend stone. Pure and majestic murderous aura surged out of Su Fang's palm and poured into Su Fang's blood-killing Dharma body. The terrifying killing intent attacked Su Fang's consciousness and Dao heart. Su Fang couldn't help but want to kill wantonly to vent the strong killing intent in his heart. Although the Blood Fiend aura from the Blood Evil Stone was incomparably pure and high-grade, merging with the Blood Evil Stone was also a very dangerous thing. If one's Dao heart wasn't firm enough, they might be affected by the killing intent. Some people might even lose their consciousness and become a living dead who only knew how to kill. Su Fang had a colorful jade Dao heart. The killing intent attack from the Blood Evil Stone couldn't affect him. As a large amount of Blood Fiend aura was absorbed by the Dharma body, it became even stronger. The blood-red robe on his body also began to shrink and condense into a blood-red armor. The 9 black stars also disappeared, turning into faint silver marks on the right chest of the blood-red armor. The Blood Kill Commander had a blood-red robe with a black killing star pattern, while the Blood Kill Divine General had a blood-red armor with a stronger defensive ability. The killing star pattern also turned silver. Su Fang hadn't condensed a silver star yet. Only after entering the Annihilation Zone and passing the first trial could he condense a silver killing star. At the same time, it also meant that he could become a genuine Blood Kill Divine General at that time. Just as the blood-red armor was condensed, a blood-red light gushed out from the void and enveloped Su Fang. Then, he was sucked into the void and disappeared without a trace. Su Fang saw a blood-red light in front of his eyes. His body also turned into a feather. He could only go with the flow, allowing the space to distort and the divine power to control him. When everything returned to normal and his body had weight, he found himself in a new space-time. Like the Annihilation Zone, this world was filled with a strong murderous aura. However, it was 10 times stronger than before. There was blood everywhere, and blood clouds floated in the sky. Su Fang was now in a canyon. The blood-red mountain ranges on both sides were almost level with the sky. The canyon between them was much narrower than the Annihilation Zone, only tens of thousands of miles wide. What was different from the human massacre was that there were 9 small cities in the canyon. This was the Annihilation Zone of the Blood Valley. The training method in the Annihilation Zone was also different from the Annihilation Zone. The targets of the training were not only blood monsters, but other cultivators as well. The location of the training was also not outside the Blood Valley, but within the cities. There were a total of 9 cities. Cultivators from various mystic worlds of Dongxian gathered in the cities. All of them were experts. Inside each city there was a blood kill platform. Only by accumulating enough points on the blood kill platform could one obtain the title of Blood Kill Divine General through training. Therefore, the difficulty of training in the Annihilation Zone was 10 times harder than the Annihilation Zone. It was also much more dangerous. Many blood kill commanders were often trapped in the first city after being promoted to Blood Kill Divine General. They were half-step blood kill generals who could not condense a killing star even after hundreds of thousands of years. Su Fang had learned this information from the information he had obtained from the Chamber of Commerce before entering the Blood Valley. However, the real situation could only be understood through personal experience. Not far from where Su Fang had appeared, there was a crimson gate. Through this gate one could also leave the Blood Valley. However, after a glance, Su Fang flew towards the first city without hesitation. His goal was not only to become the Blood Kill Divine General, but also to become the Divine Lord of Blood Kill. Naturally, he would not leave so easily. Once he left the gate and returned to the real world, what awaited him would be the merciless suppression of the 3 Taishang mysterious sects. He had no choice but to become the Divine Lord of Blood Kill in order to be protected by the Jiuxuan's laws. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Su Fang had not flown far when 3 crimson silhouettes flashed out from the right, blocking Su Fang's path. These were 3 supreme cultivators, all of them clad in blood armor, but they were bloody slaughter divine generals who couldn't condense a killing star. In the Blood Valley, these Blood Kill Divine Generals were called half-step Blood Kill Divine Generals, also known as false Divine Generals. Unlike the cultivators Su Fang had seen in the Blood Valley before, these 3 cultivators had blood-red eyes that were filled with manic and murderous intent. Their auras were also chaotic. It was obvious that they had stayed in the Blood Valley for too long and their consciousness had been affected. A newcomer? The bald cultivator in the middle swept Su Fang with a blood-red glow in his eyes. He licked his lips like a bloodthirsty ferocious beast, making people shudder. "What's the matter?" Su Fang said indifferently. Although the trial of the Earth Annihilation Zone was held in the city, it did not mean that it would be peaceful outside the city. Some cultivators who stayed in the Blood Valley all year round were affected by the blood qi and became bloodthirsty. It was normal for them to kill people for no reason. There were also some cultivators who, because they could not advance to a higher level, began to kill people and steal their treasures. This was the Blood Valley. There were no rules, only killing. A little ant of the upper Tao Truth stage can also be promoted to a Blood Kill Divine General? The bald cultivator was surprised when he saw Su Fang's cultivation. The eyes of the cultivator on the left burned with terrifying blood-red flames. He said excitedly, "We brothers have bumped into a fat sheep this time. This kid must have relied on the help of an expert to get to the Earth Annihilation Zone. This young master must be very rich." "Then what? Lead the way?" Benevolent Bandage, the cultivator on the right, smiled ferociously. A blood-red glow flashed on his glabella. A thought formed by the murderous intent attacked Su Fang fiercely. "You're courting death." Su Fang smiled coldly. A staff shadow jumped out from his eyes, erupting with a violent and ferocious aura. The staff fell. The cultivator's thought attack instantly collapsed under the attack of the murderous intent contained in the staff. The cultivator did not have time to react and was hit by the staff. The blood armor on his body shattered and his Dharma body also collapsed, turning into a pile of minced meat. Not only his Dharma body, but even his physical body was killed by Su Fang's attack. The remaining 2 cultivators were shocked. At this time, Su Fang used the true eyes of extermination. A needle-like thought shot into the bald cultivator's glabella, piercing his Tao palace and soul. The bald cultivator screamed in agony. Immediately after, Su Fong flashed forward and punched him in the head. The terrifying killing aura impacted his Tao palace and will, causing his head to shatter into pieces. The remaining cultivator did not expect that he had bumped into such a powerful expert when he thought he had caught a fat sheep. He was scared out of his wits and used his movement technique to escape. Boom! Su Fong's flame-stamping treasured boots roared. The huge impact made Su Fong rush out like lightning and appear behind the cultivator in an instant. Then, he reached out and grabbed more than a dozen sword chi, which turned into a sword formation and swept toward the cultivator. The blood armor on the cultivator's body lasted for a moment before it was killed by the sword formation. The weak are prey to the strong. You want to kill me, Su Fong. In the end, you die in my hands. You can't blame me. Su Fong showed his murderous and ferocious side in the state of the blood demon Dharma body. Then, he activated the blood demon Dharma body and devoured the blood chi of the three cultivators. As the blood chi was absorbed by Su Fong's blood demon Dharma body, Su Fong's blood armor became more solid. The silver murderous star on the blood armor also became clearer. This is just the beginning. There will be more killings later. Chapter 2699. On the way to the first city, less than 500 kilometers away, Su Fong encountered 3 ambushes along the way. It could be seen how chaotic the Blood Valley was. Fortunately, there were no true experts among the cultivators who robbed outside the city. Su Fong easily killed those cultivators who tried to kill him and steal his treasures. He arrived outside the city. He looked over. There was a blood-colored star floating above the city. It emitted a blood-red light that enveloped the entire city, forming a powerful barrier. Outside the city, there was a black stone tablet that was 1,000 feet tall. There was a line of bloody words on it, Number 1 Star Killer City. Su Fong could feel an extremely shocking killing intent and baleful aura outside the city. It was stronger and more advanced than outside the city. Su Fong reckoned that cultivating the Blood Fiend clone in the city would be much more effective than outside. However, if one's Tao heart was not firm enough, it would also be a huge test. He approached the barrier outside the city. The silver mark on the blood armor released a sharp killing intent that landed on the barrier. The blood chi in the barrier tumbled, revealing a passage into the city. Su Fong shuttled through and arrived inside the city. The scene inside was completely different from outside. The city was not big. There was only one street with 2 rows of dark stone houses on both sides of the street. People came and went on the street. If not for the strong killing intent, Su Fong would have thought that he had arrived at a city built by a certain cultivation faction. Su Fong walked along the street and strolled into the depths of the city. Soon, Su Fong discovered that this place was different. Other than some half-step divine generals like Su Fong, there were many Tao True Realm cultivators on the street. He could even see many mortals and some strange-looking foreign races. It was indeed strange that mortals would appear in the city of the Blood Valley. These mortals and foreign races did not enter the Blood Valley from the outside world. They were cultivators who reproduced in the Blood Valley. This was the origin of those mortals. As for the foreign races, they were still in a breeding state. They were brought into the Blood Valley by cultivators and were born in the Blood Valley. Over time, these mortals and foreign races were formed. The cultivators who entered the Blood Valley to train also happened to need the services of these mortals and foreign races. Thus, generation after generation, they multiplied. Because they were born in the Blood Valley, these mortals and foreign races could only stay in the city for their entire lives. They were usually slaves and became the lowest level of existence in the city. Not only were there mortals and foreign tribes, but the cultivators in the city were also completely different from the cultivators outside. Due to the continuous erosion of their primordial spirit and consciousness by the killing aura, coupled with the long-term experience of killing, most of the cultivators here were the same as the ones Su Fong encountered outside the city. All of them appeared manic and bloodthirsty. Less than 2 hours after Su Fong entered the city, he witnessed 3 battles between cultivators with his own eyes. In the end, one side was killed in all 3 battles. This city is no ordinary city. It's a city of slaughter. Everyone here is a lunatic. Su Fong felt a chill in his heart. He was on high alert all the way. Su Fong now understood that the Blood Valley was not only a training ground for the geniuses of the Eastern Xian divine domain, but also a refuge for cultivators. Many cultivators were hunted down by their enemies or were bandit. They were forced to escape into the Blood Valley, hoping to obtain the title of Divine General or Divine Master. From then on, they would change their identities and soar to the top. However, those who could obtain such titles were extremely rare. Most of them could only stay in the Blood Valley until they died. If I can't obtain the title of Divine Master of Bloody Massacre, I can only be trapped in the Blood Valley. Like most cultivators, I will eventually fall into madness and die. Cultivators can only stay in the Blood Valley for 1,000,000 years at most. In this 1,000,000 years, I must become a divine master of bloody massacre no matter what. Seeing those cultivators, Su Fong's thoughts became even more determined. QL11. In addition to the madness and killing, there were also good things in the city. Xianbao, pills, and spiritual items were sold in the stone houses on both sides of the street. There was no lack of high-quality treasures. There were also cultivators setting up stalls on the side of the street, but the quality was much worse than the ones in the stone houses. Su Fong casually strolled through a few shops and discovered quite a few types of rare spirit items that were very difficult to find in the outside world. Unfortunately, the currency they were trading with was not medicinal pills or profound treasures, but blood evil stones. Su Fong asked around and found out that blood evil stones were the most valuable items in the city. Other treasures such as pills and Xianbao were secondary. In the wilderness outside the city, there were mines that contained blood evil stones. One could also obtain blood evil stones by killing blood monsters. Moreover, the chances of obtaining blood evil stones from killing blood monsters in the earthly annihilation zone were much higher than in the human annihilation zone. Su Fong only had 2 blood evil stones on him now. Moreover, he did not lack resources. Naturally, he would not use these 2 blood evil stones. That's Cloud Soul? It's actually Cloud Soul. Unintentionally, Su Fong's gaze swept across a stall on the side of the street. He found a bundle of Xian Guang floating on the stall. A colorful cloud-like thing was sealed inside, but it was constantly wriggling like a living creature. This thing was called Cloud Soul. It was a spiritual item that was nurtured by the sea of clouds that was naturally formed in the depths of the chaos. Generally, very few cultivators would recognize Cloud Soul. The reason why Su Fong recognized it at a glance was because Cloud Soul was one of the spiritual items that were needed to nurture the heavenly Tao core. There was a detailed description of Cloud Soul in the cultivation method that Su Fong bought from the Chamber of Commerce. It was exactly what he saw now. The spiritual items needed to nurture the heavenly Tao core were all rare items that were difficult to find in the mystic world. In order to obtain the Rainbow Blood Lotus, Su Fong had spent a lot of effort. He did not expect to find such a spiritual item the moment he entered the earthly annihilation zone. How could he not be surprised? "Sir, may I ask what this item is?" Su Fong couldn't reveal that he was interested in the Cloud Spirit Soul. He first looked at the other items on the ground before looking at the Cloud Spirit Soul casually. Who knew? Su Fong asked 3 times in a row, but the stall owner did not reply. Instead, he heard moans of lust. He looked over in shock. He saw that the stall owner was hugging a woman, his hands constantly stroking the woman's lower body. How could he care about Su Fong? The stall owner was a mid-stage Tao Lord cultivator. He had a head of messy hair, and his entire body emitted a foul smell. The woman was of a different race. She looked like a normal human with enchanting looks, but her body was covered with a layer of green scales. She was actually a woman of the demonic snake clan. Su Fang did not expect to meet such a disgusting stall owner. His brows furrowed. Just as he was about to continue asking, the stall owner began to have sex with the demonic snake clan woman without restraint on the side of the street. He was no different from a wild beast in heat. "Sir, may I ask what this item is?" Su Fang controlled his temper and asked again. Only then did the stall owner hear him and stop. The demonic snake clan woman pushed the stall owner away, got up, and ran away. "Kid, you don't even know what it is, but you're bothering me and ruining my business?" The stall owner glared fiercely at Su Fang. Discovering Su Fang's cultivation, the stall owner's eyes lit up. "I don't know what it is either. I'm selling it on behalf of someone else. Kid, if you want it, give me 100 blood evil stones, and it's yours." 100 blood evil stones? Su Fang frowned. He did not expect the stall owner to ask for such an exorbitant price. 100 blood evil stones is too expensive. Su Fang shook his head and left the stall. He only had 2 blood evil stones on him. How could he afford the Cloud Soul? Since he could not buy it, he could only think of another way. No matter what, he had to get the Cloud Soul. "Kid, how dare you make fun of me? Give me 10 blood evil stones or a leg." The stall owner flew into a rage and let out a murderous roar. "You just asked for a price, and you want 10 blood evil stones or a leg of mine?" Su Fang stopped in his tracks and looked at the stall owner with a cold gaze. "Kid, you're new here, right? I'll teach you a lesson this time. In the number 1 killer city, you have to pay to open your mouth." The stall owner sneered ferociously. Then he pointed to his chest and said proudly, "Look carefully. I'm from the Blood Willow Gang. If you don't want to die, hand over the blood evil stones or leave a leg of yours." Blood Willow Gang? Su Fang found that there was a bloody willow leaf pattern on the stall owner's blood armor's chest. It was obviously the symbol of a certain force. It was his first time here, so he naturally did not know what kind of force the Blood Willow Gang was. At this time, many cultivators gathered around to watch the show. From the discussions of these cultivators, Su Fang figured out the details of the Blood Willow Gang. It turned out that in this city filled with slaughter, many cultivators had banded together to form various forces. The Blood Willow Gang was one of them. Although it wasn't a top force, it was still one of the top forces in the number 1 star killer city. The stall owner was a small character in the Blood Willow Gang. He used the Blood Willow Gang's name all day to swindle people in the city. Su Fang looked like he had just arrived, and his cultivation was only in the Dao True realm. If the stall owner did not extort him, who would he extort? "What? Does this kid want to bully our Blood Willow Gang?" 5 cultivators walked out from the crowd. Like the stall owner, their blood armor had a blood-colored willow leaf pattern. The surrounding cultivators retreated one after another. Obviously, they were already familiar with this scene. This new kid is going to be in big trouble. He's only in the Dao True realm. How did he sneak into the Annihilation Zone? This person might have some background. Either he really has some skills, or he's a disciple from a big force in Dongxian. He only became a half-step divine general with the help of expert. This is the Blood Valley. Other than forces like Dongxian Pavilion and the 3 highest mysterious sects, even a divine dragon has to be obedient. The surrounding cultivators were all discussing, waiting to see a good show. Su Fang touched his nose and smiled indifferently. He said to the stall owner, "I'm really new here. I don't have blood evil stone on me, and I don't want to lose a leg. What should I do?" "Then leave your head," a Blood Willow Gang cultivator said coldly. Chapter 2700. A slender and handsome cultivator in his early 20s walked out from the crowd. Su Fang was shocked and stunned. He didn't expect that someone would stand up for him in the number 1 killer city. Moreover, Su Fang didn't know this person. Chu Feng, the genius from the 3 highest profound sects, who has already won 9 consecutive battles on the blood slaughter arena. Chu Feng. The crowd cried out in surprise. The Blood Willow Gang members' expressions changed instantly. The disciples of the three highest profound sects are really like ghosts that won't go away. I can see them everywhere I go. A fierce aura surged in Su Fang's heart. Chu Feng looked at Su Fang with disdain. You're Su Fang? Su Fang nodded calmly and said, Yes, I'm Su Fang. Chu Feng sized up Su Fang and said, I didn't expect senior brother Ling Xingchen to be right. You won't die so easily in the adversity swamp. You're really not simple. Not only did you kill the Daolord expert by young Master Changsuan's side, but you also survived in the adversity swamp. No wonder senior brother Ling Xingchen couldn't do anything to you. After hearing Chu Feng's words, the 5 Blood Willow Gang cultivators, as well as the stall owner, were immediately overwhelmed with shock. He killed the Daolord expert of the 3 highest profound sects and survived in the adversity swamp with only the cultivation of the true Dao realm. What kind of person was this? The Blood Willow Gang members knew that they had kicked an iron plate this time. The new cultivator wasn't a fat sheep but a peerless genius. If Chu Feng hadn't appeared in time, they would be in danger. Then, Chu Feng revealed a regretful expression. I really want to fight with you. I want to see what kind of ability you have to make senior brother Ling Xingchen treat you as an opponent. Unfortunately, I have to obey senior brother Ling Xingchen's order. Su Fang smiled indifferently. These disciples who came from great powers were all so high and mighty and arrogant. Chu Feng looked at Su Fang and said, Congratulations. From now on, I will protect you and help you enter the 3rd Killer City. Once we reach the 3rd Killer City, senior brother Ling Xingchen will personally kill you. His casual tone was filled with an incomparable domineering aura, as if Su Fang's life and death were completely in his hands. Su Fang was shocked. Ling Xingchen has already entered the 3rd Killer City? You are indeed worthy of being a disciple of the 3 highest profound sects. Moreover, you are even ranked on the heavenly profound ranking. You have entered the 3rd Star Killer City so quickly. Ignoring Su Fang, Chu Feng looked at the people of Blood Willow Gang and said, Since I want to protect someone, Blood Willow Gang won't refuse to give me face, right? I wouldn't dare. How dare the Blood Willow Gang not give face to young Master Chu Feng? The 5 Blood Willow Gang cultivators nodded and bowed repeatedly, and the stall owner almost knelt on the ground. Even if Chu Feng didn't open his mouth, they knew Su Fang's true strength. How could they dare to continue extorting Su Fang? Who knew? Su Fang looked at Chu Feng and suddenly smiled domineeringly. You plan to protect me? You have to keep your word. Chu Feng nodded and said, As a special disciple of the 3 highest profound sects, I naturally keep my word. Without waiting for him to finish his words, a strong and fierce murderous aura shot out from between Su Fang's eyebrows and swept the stall owner in an instant, attacking his Dao heart and willpower. QL11 The stall owner was caught off guard, and his Dao heart and willpower were instantly shattered into pieces. Then, Su Fang's figure flashed and arrived at the stall. He grabbed the Cloud Soul in his hand and directly absorbed it into his body. The Cloud Soul is finally in my hands. Su Fang was very happy that he had obtained another spiritual item to nurture the pregnant heavenly Dao nucleus. Chu Feng was shocked and stunned. He didn't expect Su Fang to be so ruthless and attack as soon as he said so. Kid, you are courting death. You dare to kill someone from the Blood Willow Gang. You are dead meat. The 5 Blood Willow Gang cultivators were instantly enraged and roared furiously. When Su Fang killed someone, it also aroused their killing intent at the same time. At this moment, they didn't care about anything else and directly pounced on Su Fang. Su Fang sneered at Chu Feng and said, Young Master Chu Feng, didn't you say you would protect me just now? Why did you go back on your word in the blink of an eye? Chu Feng's face was ashen. He shouted at the 5 Blood Willow Gang cultivators, Scram! It set off a violent tremor in the air and sent the Blood Willow Gang cultivators flying. 2 of them were killed on the spot, and the remaining 3 were also seriously injured. They didn't dare to attack Su Fang anymore and quickly fled. The disciples of the 3 highest profound sects are indeed awe-inspiring. I admire you, I admire you. Next, I will have to rely on you in the number 1 killer city. Su Fang chuckled. Chu Feng's face became more and more unsightly. Su Fang shouted at the surrounding cultivators, "Did you all hear that? From now on, if anyone dares to touch me, young Master Chu Feng will take their life. If you see me in the future, you all better stay away." After saying that, Su Fang absorbed the stall owner's corpse and all the items on the stall into his body. Then, he swaggered away. Chu Feng was so angry that his entire body trembled. A fierce killing intent spread out, causing the surrounding crowd to tremble in fear and quickly disperse. In Star Killer City, one couldn't fly and could only walk. Su Fangdao walked towards the blood slaughter arena in the depths of the city. Suddenly Su Fang stopped and looked behind him. A woman following behind him was so frightened that she staggered and fell to the ground. This woman was the woman from the Devil Snake clan who had been ravaged by the stall owner. She didn't know why she was following Su Fang. Su Fang asked coldly, "Why are you following me?" The woman from the Devil Snake clan knelt on the ground and kowtowed repeatedly. "Sir, you killed that bad guy. You must be a good person. Please save me." Su Fang said indifferently, "Why should I save you? He wasn't a kind man, and he wouldn't try to be a good person, not to mention that the other party was from a different race." The woman trembled as she said, "I grew up in the number 1 Star Killer City. It's your first time here and you're unfamiliar with this place. I can be your guide and save you a lot of trouble." Su Fang asked indifferently, "How do you want me to help you?" The woman hurriedly said, "Sir, the bad guy you just killed had an antidote in his storage ring. He poisoned me and my family, forcing me to serve him. Please give me the antidote and my family will be saved." Su Fang sighed in his heart. The status of these alien races born in the Blood Valley was even lower than that of mortals. Cultivators could kill them and torture them however they wanted. This woman may be lowly, but no matter what, she is still alive. When did I become so indifferent to life? Actually, I was born in a low-level universe, which is what they call the heaven-forsaken slave race. How noble am I compared to her? Su Fang was secretly alarmed. Then, he searched the stall owner's storage ring and found some antidotes in it. He threw all of them to the woman from the Devil Snake clan. The woman pointed at a black bottle and said in surprise, "It's this antidote." Su Fang wiped the seal on the bottle and took out a pill. After sensing it, he found that it was just an ordinary antidote. After thinking for a while, Su Fang took out more than 10 antidotes and put them in the bottle. He gave it to the woman along with the bottle. "Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir." The woman kept kowtowing to Su Fang until her head was bleeding. "I can only help you this much. You're on your own now." Su Fang waved his hand and strode toward the depths of the Star Killer City. He would soon leave the first Star Killer City. Why would he need a guide? About 6 hours later, Su Fang arrived at the central area of the city. A beam of light shot out from the blood-colored star floating in the sky and landed on the ground. It covered an area of about 1,000 feet and formed a powerful barrier. Inside the barrier was the blood slaughter platform, which was used for cultivators to gain experience. Su Fang passed through the barrier and entered. He took a closer look. Inside the barrier, there was a space with an area of 10 miles. A huge blood-colored object was floating in the air, exuding a strong blood aura. It was the so-called blood slaughter platform. Su Fang was no stranger to the rules of the blood slaughter platform. If one wanted to pass the trial of the first Star Killer City, they had to win 10 matches on the blood slaughter platform. Their opponents could be cultivators who came here to gain experience or powerful blood monsters that descended from the Star Killer in the sky. Winning 10 matches seemed very easy, but it was not. It might be relatively easy to win the first few matches, but once one's strength was grasped by other cultivators, who would take the initiative to challenge them if they didn't have enough confidence. If no one took the initiative to challenge them, the star killer in the sky would directly descend powerful blood monsters. The strength of these blood monsters was more terrifying than human cultivators, and the further they went, the more terrifying they would be. Therefore, there were very few cultivators who could win 10 matches and pass the trial. However, with every victory, the benefits were also amazing. With every victory, there would be pure and high-level blood, evil chi descending from the blood-red killing star in the sky, cleansing the marrow of the blood evil Dharma body and increasing its strength. After winning 10 matches, the blood aura would condense into a star killer in the blood armor, smoothly passing the trial and being promoted to a 1-star divine slaughter general. After becoming a 1-star divine slaughter general, one would be valued by the major forces and would also be protected by some of the Jiuxuan's heavenly laws. Those half-step divine slaughter generals did not have these benefits. Below the blood slaughter platform, thousands of cultivators gathered, but no one went up to challenge. Swish, swish. As soon as Su Fang entered the space of the blood slaughter platform, he immediately attracted the attention of many cultivators. After discovering that Su Fang was only an upper Dao truth cultivator, many cultivators' eyes flashed with a burning light, like a pack of hungry wolves seeing a lamb. A middle-aged cultivator immediately walked towards Su Fang and cupped his fists towards Su Fang with a smile. "Friend, are you a genius who just came to number 1-star killer city?" Su Fang answered truthfully, "Yes." The middle-aged cultivator's smile became even brighter, as if he was an old friend who had known Su Fang for many years. He then said, "You must be a genius disciple with an extraordinary background who came to the Blood Valley to gain experience. I'm looking for someone to exchange pointers with. How about we exchange pointers on the blood slaughter platform?" Su Fang touched his nose and said awkwardly, "You're an upper Dao lord, a whole step higher than me. How can I be qualified to exchange pointers with you?" The middle-aged cultivator laughed and said, "It doesn't matter. When we get on the blood slaughter platform, I'll suppress my cultivation to the same level as yours." Su Fang hesitated for a moment and nodded. "You must show mercy when the time comes." Of course, of course. Chapter 2701. Swish, swish, swish. More than a dozen cultivators blocked the path of Su Fang and the middle-aged cultivator. "Old wolf, don't you think it's a bit unkind to deceive a newcomer? Kid, this guy is a vicious wolf that eats people without spitting out their bones. If you spar with him, be careful that he'll swallow you whole. Why don't the two of us spar?" These cultivators looked at Su Fang with shining eyes, like a pack of hungry wolves that had seen their prey. The middle-aged cultivator hurriedly explained to Su Fang, "Little friend, don't listen to them. In the number 1-star killer city, my reputation is obvious to all. I invited you to the blood slaughter arena purely to spar with you. There's absolutely no other malice." "I understand." Su Fang nodded. Then, he shouted to those cultivators, "I have my own ideas about who I'll spar with. I won't allow you to tell me what to do. Humph, don't think I can't see your intentions. You just want to lure me to the blood slaughter arena and kill me to get a victory. I'm not a fool. How can I be so easily fooled?" The middle-aged cultivator revealed a smug look. In the space of the blood slaughter arena, other cultivators couldn't be forced to go up. Su Fang was willing to spar with the middle-aged cultivator, so the other cultivators couldn't force him to do anything. They could only give up resentfully. Where did this idiot come from? He actually took the initiative to go to the blood slaughter arena to die. This time, Wolf 2 got lucky for nothing. He can kill that kid on the blood slaughter arena and get 5 victories. I don't think so. That kid's cultivation is only at the true Dao realm, but he dared to come to the Blood Valley and enter the number 1-star killer city. He's definitely not as simple as he looks on the surface. Everyone discussed Su Fang animatedly, treating Su Fang as a weakling who came to the arena to die. There were also some knowledgeable experts who could see that Su Fong was not simple. "Little brother, you go first." Below the blood slaughter arena, the middle-aged cultivator was afraid that Su Fong would go back on his words and let Su Fong go first. Su Fong chuckled and jumped onto the blood slaughter stage. As soon as the middle-aged cultivator entered the blood slaughter arena, the smile on his face disappeared without a trace. His eyes became fierce and ferocious. Su Fong revealed a frightened expression and said in a trembling voice, "Didn't we agree that it was a friendly match? You can't be serious, right?" The middle-aged cultivator grinned. "Brat, don't you know that once you step onto the blood slaughter arena, you won't be able to leave unless your blood slaughter avatar is killed? Do you really expect this king to exchange pointers with you? I, Lang Tu, am known as the Fiend Wolf in the #1 killer city. I don't even spit out the bones when I eat people. How could I let go of a fat piece of meat that is already in my mouth? Not only your blood fiend Dharma body, but I also want your entire physical body." Su Fong looked furious. You went back on your word. Brat, have you forgotten that this is the Blood Valley? It is not your faction. Just accept your fate." As the middle-aged cultivator laughed ferociously, he suddenly let out a howl like that of a fierce wolf. An astonishing will of slaughter transformed into a bloody wolf phantom that pounced on Su Fong and drilled into Su Fong's body. "This brat is finished." Lang Tu's howl attack, combined with the blood slaughter avatar, can not only impact the will of the Tao heart, but also devour the soul of a cultivator. It is definitely not an ordinary thought attack. It can even threaten a Tao master. How can that brat not be finished? It's a pity that there are too few fools like him. It's rare for one to appear in 100 years. Lang Tu took advantage of it and won easily. Many cultivators below the blood slaughter arena believed that Su Fong would undoubtedly die. Even those cultivators who suspected that Su Fong was somewhat extraordinary had the same thought. The terrifying howl of the wolf faded away. Su Fong stood there unscathed with a stunned and puzzled look. It was as if he didn't know how amazing Lang Tu's attack was just now, and it was just a breeze that passed by. Lang Tu was stunned. He let out 3 more howls in succession, and a monstrous aura of slaughter swept towards Su Fong. The cultivators below the blood slaughter arena were also affected by the will of slaughter. Some of the weaker cultivators couldn't help but shiver. Little did they know Su Fong was still standing tall, and the smile on his face became even brighter. He asked, "Sir, why are you howling? Are you feeling unwell somewhere? I have some elixirs here. Do you want me to give you some?" Lang Tu was shocked and stunned, and his eyes were filled with shock and surprise. Many cultivators below the blood slaughter arena were also dumbfounded, and then they began to discuss spiritedly. "This brat's will of the Tao heart is so powerful that he's not afraid of Lang Tu's thought attack. Impossible. After all, this person is only a Tao True Realm cultivator. How can he ignore Lang Tu's attack? This brat is only a Tao True Realm cultivator, but he can enter the #1 killer city. He must have the protection of an expert. Maybe there's an expert hidden in his body that helped him resolve Lang Tu's attack. Impossible. On the blood slaughter arena, other people can't help. Even if there's a peerless expert hidden in that brat's body, he can't help because he's bound by the will of the Blood Valley. The only possibility is that this brat has a Xian Bao that can defend his will of the Tao heart and origin soul. Brat, even the Xian Bao can't save you." Lang Tu flew into a rage out of humiliation. He unleashed a shocking seal that transformed into a black wolf claw. With a terrifying aura that could tear apart everything, it swept towards Su Fong. Bang! Flames ignited under Su Fong's feet, and there was a loud explosion. The flame stepping boots were activated, and his body flashed out. He was even faster than Lang Tu's attack, and he appeared in front of Lang Tu in an instant. Boom! Su Fong used the powerful impact to crash into Lang Tu's body. Crack! 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 Lang Tu's blood armor was smashed, and his blood-killing avatar was also shattered. Lang Tu was shocked and surprised. He didn't expect Su Fang to have such amazing speed with the help of Su Fang, and he also had such a powerful physical body and blood-killing avatar. "Don't worry, my lord. I just want to spar with you." Su Fang activated the flame stepping boots again, and his body flashed out. He caught up with Lang Tu in a flash, and crashed into Lang Tu again. Boom! Crack! Crack! Lang Tu's blood-killing avatar was shattered, and his physical body that had fused with the blood-killing avatar had many broken bones. His entire chest caved in. "Stop! Let's talk!" Lang Tu shouted loudly as he spat out blood with broken organs in his mouth. "The spar has just begun. My lord, you haven't made a move yet. How can you stop just like that?" Su Fang still had a smile on his face. His body flashed, and he crashed into Lang Tu again and again. "I'll fight it out with you." Only then did Lang Tu realize that he had found a soft persimmon. Who knew that he had kicked an iron plate? He had no choice but to fight with all his might. Seeing that his physical body was shattering, Lang Tu decided to go all out. He burned his Dharma power, primordial spirit, and physical body. He wanted to give Su Fang a fatal blow at all costs. Swoosh! Swoosh! Su Fang reached out and grabbed a dozen flying swords. They were all middle-grade flying swords. They formed a sword array and swept up a monstrous sword chi, sweeping towards Lang Tuesday. Lang Tu lasted for more than 10 breaths of time before he was killed by the sword array. His physical body and avatar couldn't escape. Su Fang reached out and grabbed the flying swords and Lang Tu's body, and then absorbed them into his body. Then, he activated the blood-evil Dharma body, and sucked all the blood-evil chi left behind after the blood-evil Dharma body was destroyed into the Dharma body and devoured it. This was the difference between Su Fang's blood-killing avatar. It could directly devour the blood-killing avatar of other cultivators. Lang Tu was truly worthy of being an expert of Star Slaughter City. The Blood Fiend essence within the Blood Fiend Dharma body was extremely abundant. After being devoured by Su Fang, the blood armor on his body rapidly solidified, and the silver marks on his chest became even clearer. A killing star was about to condense. Whoosh! A blood-colored pillar of light descended from the blood-colored star in the sky and enveloped Su Fang. Sizzle! And chi that was 10 times purer and more advanced than the blood-killing aura in Lang Tu's blood-killing avatar seeped into Su Fang's avatar. The energy contained in the chi surged in his body. It made Su Fang feel that his blood-killing avatar was about to swell and explode. Su Fang's Tao heart and primordial spirit were also strongly impacted by the killing intent. The most primitive and craziest desire that had been suppressed at the bottom of his heart was triggered by the aura. He couldn't help but let out a wild howl filled with killing intent. At this moment, Su Fang had an incomparable desire to go on a killing spree and use the blood of his enemies to quell the primitive and crazy desire in his heart. Fortunately, Su Fang had a Tao heart of rainbow jade and a nascent spirit-killing avatar. His Tao heart and consciousness were very strong. The Tao heart of rainbow jade emitted waves of cool aura, allowing his consciousness to break free from the control of that desire and quickly return to normal. The whole process lasted for 30 minutes. The blood-colored pillar of light around him disappeared. Su Fang found that the blood armor and the killing star pattern on his body had become more solid. The strength of his blood-killing avatar had also increased by about 1 level. Such an improvement speed was truly astonishing. No wonder so many cultivators did not hesitate to take the risk to enter the Blood Valley to train. That kid actually killed Lang Tu. I can't believe that this Tao True Realm ant is actually an expert. It's mainly because Lang Tu was too careless. He thought that he had picked up a soft persimmon. In addition, that kid's Xian Bao and Xian Bao ability are also extraordinary. That's why he killed Lang Tu so easily. That kid is really sinister. He actually let Lang Tu, a cunning old fox, lose his life in a daze. too sinister, too despicable. Many cultivators below the blood-killing platform recovered from their shock and surprise. The way they looked at Su Fang suddenly changed. They no longer had the contempt from before. The dozen or so cultivators who had thought that Lang Tu had taken advantage of them were now all frightened. If it were them, they would definitely be killed by Su Fang in a daze like Lang Tuesday. Kid, I challenge you. Chapter 2702. Su Fang glanced at the burly man. This person's cultivation was at the peak of the upper Tao Lord realm. From the blood armor on his body, and the Star of Slaughter pattern on it, it could be seen that the strength of his blood demon avatar was quite close to that of a one-star divine general of blood slaughter. It could be seen that he had won many times on the blood slaughter arena. The battles on the blood slaughter arena were very cruel, and there was no room for failure. Any failure would result in the death of the blood demon avatar. If it was more serious, it would be the death of the physical body and other avatars. Such situations were not uncommon on the blood slaughter arena. Therefore, challengers were generally very cautious and would never challenge others without full confidence. The reason why Lang Tu died was that he thought he had defeated Su Fang. Who would have thought that he was so unlucky to encounter Su Fang, who had surpassed his realm? Su Fang hadn't even used half of his strength. The burly man jumped out to challenge Su Fang at this time. Obviously, he was full of confidence. In this person's opinion, so what if Su Fang had an extraordinary Xian Bao? In the face of great strength and a huge gap in cultivation, no matter how strong the Xian Bao was, it was meaningless. It wasn't just this person. Almost everyone thought so. Fu Tianxiang, this madman, has already won 7 battles on the blood slaughter arena. Now he stands out to challenge a newcomer. He's too shameless. As long as that newcomer isn't a fool, he definitely won't agree. It's hard to say. That kid killed Lang Tuesday. Maybe he'll accept Fu Tianxiang's challenge in a fit of anger. Su Fang heard everyone's discussion clearly with his perfect hearing. He immediately made a decision in his heart. I won't accept your challenge. Su Fang responded decisively. Of course, he wasn't afraid of Fu Tianxiang, but because Fu Tianxiang seemed to be a powerful expert in the first star killer city. If he killed him as soon as he came up, who would dare to challenge him? He had to take it slow and take it one step at a time. Fu Tianxiang raised his thick eyebrows and shouted coldly, "You don't dare." Su Fang smiled and said, "That's right. I really don't dare. You are close to the realm of Taoist master, and your true strength has even surpassed ordinary Taoist masters. I am only at the realm of Taoist master. How would I dare to challenge you? Coward!" Fu Tianxiang snorted coldly and had no choice but to sit down. In the blood slaughter arena, as long as one side did not agree to the challenge, even if they won, they would not be recognized by the Blood Valley will. Su Fang was unwilling to accept the challenge, and Fu Tianxiang could do nothing about it. Suddenly a fierce and murderous voice came from outside the barrier. "Kid, you must accept Fu Tianxiang's challenge." As soon as he finished speaking, swish, swish, more than a dozen figures shuttled through the array formation and arrived at the space of the blood slaughter stage. The disciple of the 3 supreme mysterious sects, Chu Feng, was among them. The other dozen cultivators were the same as the stall owner that Su Fang had killed before. There was a blood-colored willow leaf pattern on their blood armor, indicating their identity. Blood Willow Gang. These cultivators of the Blood Willow Gang were obviously much more powerful. The leader was a young man with blood-colored hair, and his cultivation had reached the peak of the Tao Lord realm. The people of the Blood Willow Gang came to find me so quickly. Su Fang smiled coldly and looked at those people indifferently. The young man shouted domineeringly, "Kid, you killed a member of my Blood Willow Gang and even stole his treasure on the street. How can my Blood Willow Gang spare you?" Su Fang asked, "Are you the leader of the Blood Willow Gang?" The blood-haired young man said coldly, "You don't even know the background of my Blood Willow Gang, yet you dare to offend us. You're really bold." Do I need the leader to kill you personally? I'm the hall master of the Blood Willow Gang, Lu Piaohong. Su Fang looked at Chu Feng. Chu Feng, you promised that you would protect me in the first killer city. Why are you colluding with the Blood Willow Gang now? Do people from the three supreme mysterious sects all go back on their words like this? Chu Feng sneered and said, Do you think I'm an idiot who can be manipulated by you? I've already contacted Ling Xingchen. He said that in the first killer city, I can directly kill you as long as you leave your corpse to him. I've already negotiated with Hall Master Lu. After killing you, your corpse will belong to me. The many cultivators below the blood slaughter platform discussed animatedly. That kid not only offended the Blood Willow Gang, but he also offended Chu Feng and Ling Xingchen from the three supreme mysterious sects. Isn't this kid too arrogant? He offended the geniuses of the three supreme mysterious sects, yet he's still alive. This kid is definitely an expert. I was almost fooled by him. After figuring out what had happened, they realized that Su Fang was much more terrifying than they had imagined. Lu Piaohong shouted at Fu Tianxiang, who had challenged Su Fang. Fu Tianxiang, didn't you want to challenge that kid? I'll give you a chance, but after you kill that kid, you have to give his corpse to Chu Feng. Fu Tianxiang said, If that kid doesn't accept the challenge, what can I do to him? That's not up to him. Lu Piaohong sneered ferociously. She suddenly waved her hand and 4 figures rolled out from her palm and fell to the ground. Seeing these 4 people, Su Fang's eyebrows immediately curled up. The 4 people were all from the demonic snake clan. They were a middle-aged couple, a 7 or 8-year-old boy and a woman. She was the demonic snake clan woman that Su Fang had given her the pill before. In the space where the blood slaughter platform was located, cultivators who weren't half-step demonic slaughter generals would be shackled by the killing aura inside the space. If it was an ordinary cultivator, they would be fine for a while. However, when these 4 demonic snake clan people were released by Lu Piaohong, they immediately let out miserable screams under the pressure of the shackles. Their skin began to crack, and blood kept gushing out. Their life auras were also constantly fading. Su Fang's eyes exuded coldness. Lu Piaohong, they're just some lowly demonic snake clan mortals. Do you plan to use them to threaten me? Lu Piaohong sneered. If you don't accept Fu Tianxiang's challenge, then you can only watch them die in front of your eyes. They are indeed lowly and their lives are like dust, but you gave these lowly demonic snake clan pills. You don't care about their lives, do you? Let them go, and I accept Fu Tianxiang's challenge. Su Fang said decisively. If it weren't for him giving the pill to the demonic snake clan woman's family, they might not have attracted the attention of the Blood Willow Gang, and they wouldn't have been exterminated. Although their lives were lowly, they had no special relationship with Su Fang. If he just sat by and did nothing, it would go against Su Fang's Tao heart. I didn't expect you to be such a good person. Don't tell me you've taken a fancy to these demonic snake clan trash? Lu Piaohong laughed out loud. With a wave of her hand, she rolled the demonic snake clan family out of the boundary of the space where the bloody slaughter arena was located. Su Fang looked at Lu Piaohong and said in a clanging voice, Although their lives are lowly, meeting me is their fortune and opportunity, and they have karma with me. If you dare to kill their family, I will destroy your Blood Willow Gang. A fierce, murderous aura rose into the sky and swept in all directions. Many cultivators under the bloody slaughter arena felt a chill in their hearts. Chu Feng, Lu Piaohong, and the experts of the Blood Willow Gang also had a slight change in expression. Immediately, Lu Piaohong sneered disdainfully. You actually want to destroy my Blood Willow Gang? Fu Tianxiang, kill him! Fu Tianxiang jumped up from under the arena and landed on the bloody slaughter arena. He shouted at Su Fang domineeringly, Boy, my 8th victory depends on you. Su Fang said indifferently, On the contrary, my 2nd victory in the number 1 Starkiller City will be obtained from you. Little Dao True Realm Cultivator, let me see how big of a splash you can make. Fu Tianxiang sneered with disdain. Chu Feng shouted loudly from below the arena. Fu Tianxiang, remember to leave his corpse intact. Ling Xingchen and I owe you a favor this time. Don't worry, young Master Chu Feng, it's a piece of cake. Fu Tianxiang agreed readily, and then a strand of thought flashed out from between his brows. In an instant, Su Feng saw a 30 m long battle axe carry a terrifying, imposing aura that could split the heavens and the earth apart as it slashed down towards him. This strand of thought contained a domineering and all-conquering will, and it blasted down towards Su Feng's spiritual world before the battle axe could even descend. This strand of thought was sufficient to rival an expert at the lower Daolord realm. No wonder Fu Tianxiang was able to obtain 7 victories on the bloody slaughter arena. Fu Tianxiang, I won't leave your corpse intact. Su Feng revealed a domineering smile. When Fu Tianxiang used this strand of thought, Su Feng swiftly switched between the Xianhuang avatar and the Xuesha avatar, and the phantom of a pagoda enveloped his body. Xian Tiancheng, ancestral Graygon, and other formidable experts poured all their strength into the Xianhuang avatar. Although they couldn't be released in the Blood Valley, they could fuse their strength with the Xianhuang avatar. This was the extraordinary ability that the Xianhuang avatar had brought to Su Feng. At this moment, Su Feng had swiftly surpassed the Dao True realm, and he'd even surpassed the Daolord realm and ordinary Daolord. Thump, thump, thump. The 6 layers of the phantom of the pagoda suddenly opened up, and 6 divine auras erupted like volcanoes as they swept towards the strand of thought that was slashing down. The will and Taoist aura within the strand of thought collided with the 6 divine auras, causing the layers to collapse. The phantom of the battle axe also shattered under the impact of the 6 divine auras. Fu Tianxiang had thought that even if this strand of thought couldn't kill Su Feng, it would at least be able to heavily injure him. He'd never imagined that such a terrifying counterattack would be waiting for him. Caught off guard, Fu Tianxiang's blood armor shattered, and the Xuesha avatar cracked layer by layer as he was forced to retreat repeatedly. Su Feng's aura surged as the 6 divine auras continued to crush Fu Tianxiang. After all, Fu Tianxiang hadn't attained the height of a Daolord yet, whereas Su Feng possessed a formidable strength that could crush ordinary Daolords. So, Fu Tianxiang hadn't been able to escape the fate of being crushed by Su Feng in the end. Hiss. Su Feng Da wantonly absorbed Fu Tianxiang's baleful blood energy, and his gaze that was filled with fierce killing intent swept through the crowd. Chapter 2703. Under Su Feng's murderous gaze, many cultivators avoided his gaze. No one dared to look him in the eye. In the first killer city, Fu Tianxiang was considered a powerful expert. Although he was not a top expert, he was at least ranked in the top 50. But now, he was crushed by Su Feng. Such strength was enough to shock all the cultivators and make them tremble with fear. Su Feng looked at Lu Piaohong, and his eyes became even colder. Let's go. Lu Piaohong couldn't help but shudder. She immediately led the people of the Blood Willow gang away. Whoosh! A blood-colored beam of light fell from the blood-colored star in the sky, enveloping Su Feng and cleansing his blood-evil Dharma body. After receiving Fu Tianxiang's blood-evil aura, the blood-evil Dharma body was cleansed again. The strength of Su Feng's blood-evil Dharma body increased rapidly. The blood armor had become solid, and the killer star pattern on the right chest had also condensed. What kind of Xian Bao did he use? How could he crush Fu Tianxiang? I didn't see it clearly, but it must be a powerful Xian Bao. It's extraordinary. Everyone under the stage reacted at this time. They secretly communicated with each other through their thoughts. They looked at Su Feng from time to time. Not only did they not have the previous contempt in their eyes, but they also had more fear and awe. In the Blood Valley, only strength could win the respect of others. Everything else, including identity, was not as direct as one's strength. That's not Xian Bao. It's a Dharma body cultivated from Xian Bao. Chu Feng was indeed from the three highest mysterious sects. He could see the details of the pagoda phantom that appeared on Su Feng's body. How many Dharma bodies does this person have? Chu Feng was also very shocked, even 10 times more than the others. The more Dharma bodies one had, the more amazing their cultivation talent was. Su Feng's talent shocked Chu Feng and made him jealous at the same time. It's obviously impossible to kill Su Feng with the help of others. I can only do it myself. He didn't know what secret this person had that made Ling Xingchen so determined to get his corpse. It seems like Elder Zhu Xin is here for him too. Let's kill him and take his treasure. Chu Feng gazed at Su Feng, who was shrouded in the blood-red light beam. His eyes gradually became scorching hot. After an incense stick worth of time, the blood-red light pillar around Su Feng dissipated. He immediately jumped off the blood slaughter stage and went straight to the barrier. After passing through the array formation, Su Feng saw the demonic snake clan woman and her family lying in a pool of blood. The snake lady's parents and younger brother had all been beheaded, and they were already dead. As for the demonic snake clan woman, she was cut in half at the waist, but she was still breathing. Anger and hatred brewed in Su Feng's heart. Once it erupted, it would surely be able to burn the heavens. Su Feng used his profound yang power to envelop the snake demon woman, and the life-sustaining yang energy continuously poured into the woman's body. The blood from the woman's wound was stopped, and the blood energy kept surging, constantly growing new flesh and blood. Her aura also recovered a bit. Then, Su Feng released his consciousness and spoke in the snake demon woman's mind. Was it done by the Blood Willow Gang? It was them. They asked me to tell you that the Blood Willow Gang is waiting for you to massacre them. My lord, please don't be fooled. My life is cheap, and it's not worth risking your life for me and my family's cheap lives. No one can afford to provoke the Blood Willow Gang in the first killer city. It's my fault. I've said that if the Blood Willow Gang dares to hurt you, I will massacre the Blood Willow Gang and let the whole Blood Willow Gang be buried with your family. I, Su Feng, always keep my words, Su Feng said calmly. He put the demonic snake clan woman and the corpse on the ground into his heavenly law Dharma body. After letting Xuanxin take care of the woman, Su Fengdao walked straight to the Blood Willow Gang. The Blood Willow Gang could be considered a powerful force in the first killer city. They occupied an area of several hundred acres in the city. Su Feng came to the Blood Willow Gang step by step. They had already received the news that Su Feng was coming. There was no one in the outer stone houses where the Blood Willow Gang cultivators used to live. Su Feng passed through the alleys between the stone houses and came to the gate of a manor. Using his great perfection ability, he sensed that there were more than 100 cultivators in the manor, and hundreds more were coming from the rear. Su Feng showed a domineering and cold smile and walked straight into the manor. Boy, you really came. Lu Piaohong had been waiting in the manor with hundreds of cultivators. When he saw Su Feng, he smiled proudly. Since I said that I would massacre the Blood Willow Gang, I will definitely do it, Su Feng said lightly. It seems that I guessed right. Your relationship with that cheap B*TCH is really unusual. A dignified cultivator is actually with a B*TCH from the demonic snake clan. I'm dying of laughter, ha ha ha. Lu Piaohong ridiculed without restraint. The Blood Willow Gang cultivators behind him also burst into unscrupulous and crazy laughter. A big man like an iron tower said disdainfully, Lu Piaohong, are you mistaken? How can this boy kill Fu Tianqiang? Lu Piaohong said, how can I be wrong when I saw it with my own eyes? Don't be careless when you attack later. Su Feng's divine light rolled around the Blood Willow Gang cultivators and asked, why doesn't your gang leader come out? The big man like an iron tower sneered disdainfully. Do you think you are qualified to make the gang leader come out? After I kill all of you, he will naturally come out. Su Feng's cold voice was still echoing. His figure flashed and he rushed toward Lu Piaohong. Boom! 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 All kinds of thoughts, xian bao, and magical attacks rushed toward Su Fang like a tide and swallowed his figure in an instant. You can't even withstand a single blow. How can you kill Fu Tianqiang? The big man like an iron tower laughed disdainfully. No, be careful. Lu Piaohong was startled at first, but then her divine light changed instantly and she warned the big man loudly. Chi. Su Fang's figure appeared behind the big man. Red light burst out from his eyes as he used the true eyes of destruction. It condensed into a needle of thought and directly shot into the big man's head. The big man staggered. At this time, Su Fang's right palm was like a sword and directly stabbed into the big man's back, penetrating his blood armor and grabbing his heart with his right hand. Hiss! The big man's life, blood, and blood evil chi flowed out of Su Fang's palm crazily and was swallowed by Su Fang's blood evil dharma body. It turned out that Su Fang had used the passage of time divine sense to cooperate with the ability of the flaming dream illusionary cloud to create illusions. He had left an illusion to kill the people of the Blood Willow Gang, while his real body had arrived behind the big man a few breaths before and dealt a fatal blow. In a flash, the big man's iron tower body quickly shriveled and fell to the ground. How dare you kill my brother? Lu Piaohong fell into madness. Like a mad beast, she fiercely pounced on Su Fang. Boom! 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 Su Fang activated his flame-stamping boots and shuttled nimbly and quickly among the Blood Willow Gang members. Screams rose and fell one after another. In less than half an hour, more than 30 Blood Willow Gang cultivators had been killed by Su Fang. Retreat, form a formation and trap him. Lu Piaohong was shocked and angry. She ordered her men to retreat and surrounded Su Fang with the gang members who came from the outside. The next one to die is you. Su Fang looked at Lu Piaohong, smiled coldly, and used the true eyes of destruction again. Chi. 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 Lu Piaohong kept releasing her thoughts, which turned into blood-red willow leaves fluttering in the wind. They blocked Su Fang's thoughts and finally dissipated their power. Meanwhile, an enormous rod image leaped out from Su Fang's eyes, and it gave rise to a violent and ferocious wave of slaughter that smashed down towards Lu Piaohong. The blood-red willows formed from Lu Piaohong's thoughts ceaselessly coiled around the rod image, yet they were unable to obstruct its all-powerful attack, and were blasted flying. However, they didn't lose their lives. The nearby Blood Willow Gang members were affected by this, and they were blasted flying like leaves being blown away by a violent gale. It was impossible for them to form a formation any longer. All of you, stand down. A lofty voice sounded out from the house in the depths of the courtyard, and then an old man appeared. The old man wore a black robe that was covered in blood-red willow markings, and his aura was ethereal. Surprisingly, he was an expert at the intermediate stage of the Daolord realm. Unlike the other cultivators that had entered Bloodgorge to temper themselves, this old man possessed the aura of Bloodgorge's quintessence, and he was actually an expert that was born in Bloodgorge. Su Fang wasn't surprised. Never had he imagined that a human born in Bloodgorge would actually be able to cultivate to such a height. The master of Blood Willow Gang was obviously a formidable figure. Unfortunately, he was born in Star Slaughter City, and it was impossible for him to leave Bloodgorge for his entire lifetime. In other words, he was only able to proclaim himself as an overlord in Star Slaughter City. You're merely a cultivator at the true Dao realm, yet you possess such extraordinary strength. You're definitely a peerless genius of the Eastern Profound Divine Domain. I never imagined that my Blood Willow Gang would actually offend such a figure. The old man's eyes flashed with a bloody glow as he gazed at Su Fang. After that, the old man continued. My Blood Willow Gang isn't willing to become enemies with a figure like you. So, I've decided to take a step back and write off all enmity between us. You can leave. Su Fang was stunned. Write off all enmity? Lu Piaohong hurriedly said, Master, this kid has killed so many of our people. How can we let him go? Meanwhile, Su Fang spoke in a domineering manner. I've said it before. If you dare harm that woman and her family, then I'll annihilate the Blood Willow Gang. Now, there are still so many members of the Blood Willow Gang alive. How can I leave? The old man shouted in a deep voice, Foreign cultivator, don't go too far. So what if I'm going too far? Su Fang was aggressive and showed off his ability. QL 11-inch, since that's the case, I'll have to sacrifice some of my lifespan to kill you. The old man shouted majestically as a bloody aura surged out of his body. In an instant, it transformed into a blood-red willow tree that was thousands of feet tall. Its divine might completely enveloped the area where the Blood Willow Gang was. Chi. Bloody willow leaves fluttered wildly as they swept towards Su Fang from all directions. Chapter 2704. The commotion caused by the Blood Willow Gang had alarmed all the powers in First Slaughter City and the cultivators within the Blood Slaughter Arena. When they saw the Blood Willow Gang's master reveal such formidable strength, the experts of the various powers in First Slaughter City and those cultivators were extremely shocked and surprised. The Blood Willow Gang's master actually possesses such extraordinary strength. I'm afraid even ordinary Dowlords aren't a match for him. If he wanted to dominate First Slaughter City, then the Blood Willow Gang would have probably become the overlord of First Slaughter City a long time ago. That kid is going to suffer great misfortune. A mere Dao True Realm cultivator vainly intends to annihilate the Blood Willow Gang. This kid is too arrogant. In Blood Valley, arrogant people usually die the quickest. Everyone was discussing animatedly, and they felt that Su Fang would definitely die. Even though Su Fang had just killed Fu Tianxiang couldn't be considered to be a true expert when compared to the Blood Willow Gang's master. At this moment, Su Fang was trapped in the shackles of the Blood Willow Gang's master, so how could he not die? Huff! A figure appeared in the sky above the Blood Willow Gang's territory. Within Star Slaughter City, there was a shackle that prohibited flight in the sky, so it was very difficult for cultivators to fly. Chu Feng had executed the three supreme profound sect's spatial ability and maintained his ability to fly, and it was sufficient to show that his strength was extraordinary, and it drew the attention of everyone. Chu Feng shouted loudly, Blood Willow Gang's master, I'm Chu Feng, a special disciple of the three supreme profound sect. I have something to say. Could it be that the three supreme profound sect intends to stand up for him? The Blood Willow Gang's master spoke in a ghastly tone. The three supreme profound sect dominates the eastern profound divine region, yet they can't control Blood Valley, let alone First Slaughter City. Chu Feng said, Gang Master, you've misunderstood. I just want to make a deal with Gang Master. Su Fang has a grudge with my sect. After Gang Master kills that madman, I hope Gang Master can hand over his corpse to me. I'm willing to take out 5,000 mid-grade pills. 5,000 mid-grade medicinal pills in exchange for a corpse. How extravagant of the three supreme profound sect. Deal. The Blood Willow Gang's master agreed readily. There were almost no cultivation resources in the Blood Valley. 5,000 middle-grade elixirs was not a small sum. You're treating us, the Su Fang, as pigs and sheep waiting to be slaughtered. Unfortunately, it's too early for you to be complacent. In the number 1 star killer city, there's still no one who can stop me. Su Fang revealed a domineering smile. Luck Spider, I'll leave it to you. Suck their luck dry. Su Fang's eyes showed incomparable coldness, and he released the spider without hesitation. This was also the first time he released the luck spider after subduing it in the swamp. Thank you, Master. After the spider swallowed a section of the 7-colored blood lotus, it turned into a lifelike spider. Its body was crystal clear, and Su Fang found it hard to associate it with the monster that had once caused the destruction of a powerful foreign race. However, he existed in the faintly discernible fate. Other than Su Fang, it was difficult for others to see his existence. Hiss. The luck spider spat out strands of spider silk, which instantly penetrated the layers of blood-colored willow leaves and entered the Blood Willow Gang leader's body. The Blood Willow Gang leader was about to suppress Su Fong. Just as he was feeling complacent and rampant, he felt the invisible fate flowing away in an instant. He was immediately terrified. As the fate flowed away, the connection between the Blood Willow Gang leader and the Blood Valley also rapidly weakened. He lost control of the Blood Valley's power, and the willow leaves attacking Su Fong quickly shattered layer by layer. Even the huge Blood Willow, which was the Dharmakaya of the Blood Willow Gang master, began to fade away. Damn it! What kind of evil skill is this? How can it devour my fate? The Blood Willow Gang leader frantically released his thoughts, trying to shatter the power that was constantly devouring his fate. However, what kind of terrifying existence was the Luck Spider? Although the Luck Spider subdued by Su Fong was still an underage one, it was not something the Blood Willow Gang leader could get rid of. No matter how he resisted, he could only let his fate be devoured by the Luck Spider. The experts from the other forces in the first Killer City, as well as the experiencers, were all shocked and stunned when they saw this scene. Is the Blood Willow Gang leader suddenly bewitched? Nonsense. Can a Taoist master be bewitched? I think he was injured by Su Fong's peerless magic, and there's something wrong with his spiritual world. Everyone was discussing animatedly, but they were all confused. Chu Feng was also shocked and stunned. He looked at Su Fong, hesitating whether to attack personally. Everyone, attack and kill that boy. The Blood Willow Gang leader also knew that the problem was Su Fong, so he immediately issued an order to his subordinate. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Hundreds of Blood Willow Gang cultivators completely fell into madness. They burned their blood evil chi and madly attacked Su Fong. Suppress them all. Su Fong issued a voice full of killing intent to the Luck Spider. Puff. The Luck Spider opened its mouth and spat out a white mist. As the white mist rolled and swept, it revealed a strange power of calamity and misfortune. In an instant, the white mist swept in all directions. The Blood Willow Gang cultivators could not see the white mist at all, and they rushed into the white mist. Sizzle! The white mist seeped into the bodies of many Blood Willow Gang cultivators, and the astonishing power of calamity and misfortune quickly devoured their luck. At the same time, the white mist also contained a terrifying power that could cause any life to wither and die of illness, causing those cultivators to be caught off guard. Inexplicably, the vitality of those Blood Willow Gang cultivators began to wither. They spat out mouthfuls of black blood, and their bodies were suffused with the aura of death. In a dozen breaths' time, the hundreds of Blood Willow Gang cultivators who rushed to Su Fong were all lying on the ground. They were not dead yet, and they struggled on the ground in pain, letting out waves of shrill screams. Su Fong, who possessed the moving spider, was a great calamity. Whoever provoked him would bring about a calamity that would destroy their entire family. The Blood Willow Gang cultivators killed your family, so I will destroy the Blood Willow Gang. Watch carefully. Su Fong showed his power to the woman of the Snake Demon clan in the Heavenly Way Dharma body. Thank you, my lord. The woman of the Snake Demon clan did not expect that Su Fong would really destroy the Blood Willow Gang. Seeing what happened outside, she was so shocked that she could hardly speak. Evil cultivator, that person must be an evil cultivator. Lu Piaohong, how did you provoke such a terrible enemy? The leader of the Blood Willow Gang caught Lu Piaohong in the air, and let out a thunderous roar. Lu Piaohong trembled as she told the leader of the Blood Willow Gang everything that had happened. He wants to destroy the Blood Willow Gang for a lowly woman of the Snake Demon clan? The leader of the Blood Willow Gang was shocked and stunned. His eyes were filled with disbelief, and his heart was full of grievances. If it weren't for you, how could the Blood Willow Gang provoke such a fiend? He could only watch as the cultivators of Blood Willow Gang died one after another. Blood Willow Gang's leader was also constantly being devoured. He was shocked and angry, and he slapped Lu Piaohong's head, causing it to turn into a bloody mist. Su Fang walked toward the leader of the Blood Willow Gang step by step. When he passed by the cultivators of the Blood Willow Gang, he killed them without hesitation. The leader of the Blood Willow Gang was terrified. He used his body movement to escape. But at this moment, the spider opened its mouth and spat out silk threads that intertwined into a large net, binding the leader of the Blood Willow Gang. In an instant, the leader of the Blood Willow Gang felt that his whole body was shrouded in misfortune and disaster. No matter where he fled, he could not escape the fate of being suppressed. Moreover, he lost his luck and was rejected by the will of the Blood Valley. In an instant, he lost all his magic power, will, and strength. Except for his body that could still move, he lost all his other powers. The leader of the Blood Willow Gang hurriedly knelt and begged for mercy. "Spare me. I am willing to submit to Master and become your slave. I will help Master become the overlord of the first Star Killer City." "It's too late," Su Fang said indifferently. The killing star on the blood armor suddenly shot out a fierce murderous aura that swept toward the leader of the Blood Willow Gang. "Kid, where it is possible to let people off, you should spare them. Don't go too far." An expert of the Star Killer City, who was watching from afar, suddenly released a thought that swept away Su Fang's murderous aura. This expert was a middle-aged man. His cultivation was at the same level as the leader of the Blood Willow Gang. However, judging from his aura, he was much stronger than the leader of the Blood Willow Gang. It's the leader of the number 1 force of the Star Killer City, the Broken Soul Sect. He actually took action. That kid is too arrogant. If the Broken Soul Sect did not take action, he would really think that there is no one in the Star Killer City. Even a strong dragon can't suppress a local snake. The Blood Valley is not the Eastern Profound Divine Domain. How can a foreign cultivator be so arrogant? The experts of the forces of the Star Killer City were all in high spirit. Su Fang sneered. "You want to interfere in my business?" The Broken Soul Sect Master said majestically. "Release the leader of the Blood Willow Gang and I will pretend that nothing happened today." "Who do you think you are? Do you think you can stop me, Su Fang?" Su Fang sneered domineeringly. His figure flashed and pounced toward the leader of the Blood Willow Gang. Impudent! The Broken Soul Sect Master was furious. His thought instantly turned into a big hand that grabbed at Su Fang. Who would have thought that Su Fang would use the passage of time divine ability, and there was a split second between him and the Broken Soul Sect Master. It was also in this split second that Su Fang used a seal to shackle the leader of the Blood Willow Gang and then sucked him into the space within his body. "You are courting death." The Broken Soul Sect Master was furious. His glabella flashed and shot out a Xian Guang. It instantly erupted, and the surrounding space immediately turned into a boundless sword domain. Chi Chi Chi. The astonishing sword intent not only contained supreme sword Tao rhymes, but also the power to tear the soul and destroy the Tao heart. Boom! Su Fang immediately switched between the Xian Huang Dharma body and the Blood Fiend Dharma body. His figure turned into the phantom of a 6-story pagoda. Streaks of sword Qi, will, and Tao rhymes hit the Xian Huang Dharma body, causing the phantom of the pagoda to shake violently and begin to shatter layer by layer. At this time, the spider suddenly spat out a strand of spider silk. The Broken Soul Sect Master felt a mysterious power seeping into his body. Then, his luck began to flow away frantically. What kind of evil divine ability is this? It can actually devour my supreme luck. Damn it, damn it. If the leader of the Blood Willow Gang dies, then he dies. It has nothing to do with me. Why should I stand up for him? Chapter 2705. Who else wants to stand up for the Blood Willow Gang Master? Su Fang's cold eyes swept in all directions. Wherever he went, the experts from the major forces in Star Killer City, as well as the trainees, were all trembling. Even the Broken Soul Sect Master was so scared that he fled, and he didn't even know what kind of means Su Fang had used. Now that he stood up for the Blood Willow Gang master, wasn't he courting death? Su Fong looked at Chu Feng and sneered. Young Master Chu Feng, didn't you plan to exchange 5,000 mid-grade pills for my corpse? Why don't you come up? Humph, this is the #1 star killer city. I'll let you be arrogant for a few days. When you come to the #3 star killer city and meet Ling Xingchen, I'll see how arrogant you can be. Chu Feng's face was gloomy. His figure flashed and he flew over the Blood Willow Gang. At this time, hundreds of Blood Willow Gang members had their luck corroded by the power of disaster and misfortune that the spider sprayed out. Disease and death chi entered their bodies, and most of them had died. Su Fong sat cross-legged on the empty field in the middle of the courtyard. He reached out and grabbed the corpses one by one, and used his blood demon Dharma body to crazily devour the blood demon aura in their bodies. These people had stayed in Star Killer City all year round, and their blood demon Dharma body had accumulated an astonishing amount of blood demon aura. At this moment, they had all become cultivation materials for Su Fong to improve his blood demon Dharma body. In addition, Su Fong also gained a lot from these cultivators. Su Fong had collected more than 1,000 blood demon stones, which was definitely a huge sum in the Blood Valley. In addition, Su Fong found a large number of rare spiritual items in the storage ring of the Blood Willow Gang master, among which was a spiritual item called the Tears of Ice Silkworm, which was exactly what was needed to cultivate the pregnant heavenly Tao core. This time, Su Fong also made a fortune by destroying the Blood Willow Gang. No wonder the Broken Soul Sect master stood up for the Blood Willow Gang. He must have come for the Blood Willow Gang's wealth. After all, it was a major force in the #1 star killer city. After so many years of accumulation, it must be rich. In the end, it all benefited Su Fong. As the evil blood chi in the corpses was devoured, Su Fong's evil blood Dharmakaya improved at an astonishing speed. The blood armor on his body seemed to be made of material. Mysterious blood inscriptions began to condense on it. The area covered by the blood armor was no longer the key parts of the blood evil avatar, but spread to other parts of the avatar. The star of slaughter on his chest had also completely condensed. This meant that Su Fong now had the height of a 1-star divine general of bloody slaughter. While Su Fong was absorbing the baleful blood chi to cultivate, the news of him massacring the Blood Willow Gang and forcing the Broken Soul Sect master to retreat quickly spread throughout First Star Killer City, shocking the entire city. The forces entrenched in First Star Killer City had strictly ordered all the cultivators in their forces not to provoke the Su Fong. As long as the Su Fong was in Star Killer City, everyone had to behave themselves. According to the leaders of those forces, Su Fong was a completely unreasonable madman. He had actually wiped out the entire Blood Willow Gang for a lowly demonic snake woman. If they really provoked him, wouldn't it be terrible? The cultivators from the major forces and mystic worlds of the Eastern Profound Divine Realm had also secretly decided that even if they had to challenge Chu Feng, they would absolutely not challenge Su Fong. Su Fong was a star of calamity, a star of slaughter. One after another, the mortals of Star Killer City, including the foreign races, came to the former territory of the Blood Willow Gang and kowtowed to Su Fong from afar. In the past, these mortals and foreign races born in Star Killer City couldn't be considered as humans at all. They were wantonly bullied and killed by the cultivators. Even they themselves didn't see themselves as humans. They thought that they were born to be oppressed by the cultivators. Su Fong had actually wiped out the Blood Willow Gang for a demonic snake woman. Those Blood Willow Gang cultivators who were usually high and mighty were slaughtered by him like chickens. Only then did the mortals and foreign races realize that they were also humans and had the right to live. Their hearts were filled with endless gratitude to Su Fong as they came to kowtow. About 500 years. In these 500 years, First Star Killer City had never been so peaceful. This city that was filled with slaughter was actually more peaceful than some of the cities in the mystic world. It was truly incomparably strange. Some of the cultivators who came to Star Killer City later thought that they had come to the wrong place. Su Fong massacred the Blood Willow Gang. The deterrent force was actually so terrifying. On this day, a bloody light soared into the sky and landed on the blood-colored star above the city, causing it to tremble. Immediately after, Su Fong's voice that was filled with killing and pleasure resounded throughout the city. Everyone in Star Killer City couldn't help but tremble. Su Fong slowly stood up from the ground and sensed his own body. He was very happy in his heart. After devouring the blood chi of hundreds of cultivators, especially the Blood Willow Gang's leader, the Blood Fiend Dharma body contained an incomparably vast amount of Blood Fiend chi. Coupled with the Blood Fiend stones, Su Fong's Blood Fiend Dharma body had finally risen to a new height after 500 years of absorption and fusion. His entire body was covered in blood armor, and even blood runes appeared on his face. He looked like the incarnation of a god of slaughter. The Star Killer pattern on his chest had already become complete. Although it didn't look very bright, it actually contained an incomparably majestic killing aura. I now have the strength of a 1-star divine general of slaughter. It's time to leave First Star Killer City. He had no choice but to leave. Although he hadn't won 10 battles, he had already advanced from a half-step divine general of slaughter to a 1-star divine general through killing cultivators and obtaining their blood fiend chi. The star above Star Killer City was repelling him, indicating that he had to leave First Star Killer City and enter Second Star Killer City. Demonic Snake. Su Fong's thought appeared inside the Heavenly Tao avatar. My lord! When the demonic snake woman saw Su Fong's image, she respectfully knelt and kowtowed. After all these years, the woman had already recovered. Because this woman was born in the Blood Valley, she was born with a blood fiend chi. Therefore, she was very close to Law and was taken in as his servant. He even taught her the Azura Divine Clan's cultivation method and divine ability to cultivate blood fiend chi. At this time, the demonic snake woman was no longer a mortal. She was a cultivator with some cultivation. Su Fong nodded and asked, I'm about to leave First Star Killer City. Where should you go? Law came through the array. Although this woman is of a foreign race, she's naturally suited to cultivate the Tao of slaughter. Leave her to me. When I transcend the Pongsong universe, I'll definitely train her into an Azura successor. But Su Fong smiled bitterly. Once a life form born in the Blood Valley left the Blood Valley and went to the outside world, an invisible force would rapidly devour their life. They would die very quickly. There had never been a precedent before. It must be the same for the demonic snake woman. Law snorted and said, What's wrong? Now that you've become stronger, you can't even use my face? Of course, of course. Su Fong wiped his sweat and hurriedly agreed. If he wanted to take this woman out of the Blood Valley, he would have to use the Heaven's Secret Life shrinking technique to cut off the karma between her and the Blood Valley. However, in this way, Su Fong would have to consume a lot of his life force. There was no other way. After all, Law had spoken. The demonic snake woman was surprised and happy. She kept kowtowing to Su Fong. Withdrawing his consciousness, Su Fong went straight to the Blood Slaughter platform. That Bane has finally left the Blood Willow Gang. With his strength, who can defeat him in the Blood Slaughter platform? That's for the best. As long as this Bane leaves First Star Killer City, we can finally breathe a sigh of relief. The major forces were scrambling to spread the news. Before Su Fong left, some forces began to celebrate. He went through the barrier and entered the Blood Slaughter platform. Just like before, thousands of cultivators gathered below the Blood Slaughter platform, but there were many new faces. Su Fong swept through the crowd with his divine light, but he couldn't find Chu Feng's figure. It seemed that he should have won 10 rounds and left First Star Killer City. Chu Feng had no choice. If he didn't leave, when Su Fong challenged him on the Blood Slaughter platform, he would undoubtedly die if he accepted the challenge, but if he didn't accept the challenge, he would lose face. It was better to leave as soon as possible. On the blood slaughter platform, a cultivator had just killed his opponent and won a round. After receiving the purification of blood and evil chi, he shouted arrogantly to the audience below the platform, "Who dares to challenge me?" For a moment, the blood slaughter platform was silent. The cultivator became more and more arrogant. "I've already won 8 rounds. Who's kind enough to send me another round?" "Ha!" Suddenly a calm voice came from below the platform. "Can you come down first? Boy, get up here if you have the guts." The big man looked in the direction of the voice and found that the person who spoke was a Tao True Realm cultivator. After being stunned for a moment, he suddenly laughed wildly. Whoosh! Su Fong jumped onto the blood slaughter platform. "Boy, since you sent me around, I'll leave your corpse intact." The cultivator sneered domineeringly at first, but when he saw Su Fong's face, he suddenly felt as if an invisible hand was choking his neck. The arrogant expression on his face disappeared and was replaced by awe and fear. His body trembled uncontrollably. "It's just a joke. It's just a joke. Sir, don't take it seriously." The cultivator's legs went soft. He stumbled down the platform and fell to the ground, looking incomparably miserable. A Tao True Realm cultivator? There's actually a Tao True Realm cultivator in Star Killer City? Now, there's finally a soft persimmon to pinch. A cultivator who had just entered First Star Killer City saw Su Fong's cultivation clearly and was immediately surprised and happy. He went straight to the blood slaughter platform. However, when he arrived below the platform, he found that the surrounding people were looking at him strangely. Only then did he realize that something was wrong and stopped abruptly. What happened? The newly arrived cultivator was confused. A middle-aged cultivator next to him sneered and said, "Idiot, the person on the platform is called Su Fong. If you want to die, hurry up and get on the platform." "Su Fong? Who's Su Fong?" The cultivator still did not understand, but he dispelled the idea of going on the platform to challenge him. At this time, Chapter 2706. Su Fong was enveloped by the spatial distortion and was involuntarily teleported out of First Star Killer City. When everything returned to normal, Su Fong looked around and found himself in a plaza inside the city. Just like the First Star Killer City, a blood-red star was suspended in the sky above the Second Star Killer City. However, it was larger than the First Star Killer City, and the murderous aura it exuded was much stronger. There were many neat and exquisite pavilions in the city, which was completely different from First Star Killer City's chaotic scene. At this time, a woman's voice came from behind, "Welcome to Second Star Killer City, my lord." Su Fong turned around and saw a woman in green standing behind him. Her appearance was ordinary, but her cultivation was not low. She had reached the middle stage of the Tao Monarch realm. Su Fong asked in surprise, "Who are you?" The woman in green was surprised when she discovered Su Fong's cultivation. Then, she saw Su Fong's blood-red armor and the image of the killer star, and shock appeared in her eyes. Hearing Su Fong's question, the woman hurriedly answered, "My name is Qing Xian. I specialize in serving cultivators who enter Second Star Killer City to train." A middle-stage Tao Monarch Realm cultivator serving cultivators? Su Fong revealed a look of disbelief. Although a middle-stage Tao Monarch Realm cultivator was not considered a powerhouse in the Eastern Profound Divine Realm, they were definitely experts. It was unbelievable that she would serve other cultivators in Second Star Killer City. Qing Xian smiled casually and explained, "In Second Star Killer City, many cultivators have their blood fiend avatar killed in the process of training. However, they do not want to leave Blood Valley, so they stay in Second Star Killer City and use various methods to obtain Blood Fiend stones. Once they have accumulated enough Blood Fiend stones, they can buy a new Blood Fiend avatar from the City Lord's Mansion." City Lord's Mansion? There was a City Lord's Mansion in Second Star Killer City? The information Su Fong had bought about Blood Valley from the Chamber of Commerce did not mention this. What made Su Fang even more surprised was that the Blood Fiend avatar could be bought. It had to be known that once a cultivator's Blood Fiend avatar was killed, they could not cultivate it again. It was hard to believe that one could purchase a new Blood Fiend Dharma body in the second killer city. Seeing Su Fang's expression, Qing Xian seemed to have expected it. She smiled embarrassedly. If you want to hire me, I can explain it to you in detail. How many pills do I need to hire you? In the second star killer city, only blood evil stones are valuable. Although medicinal pills can also be used to trade, they can't compare to blood evil stones. Cultivators like us usually only accept blood evil stones. My price isn't high. I'll only accept 100 blood evil stones for 10,000 years of service. Alright, I'll give you 100 blood evil stones. 100 blood evil stones was not a small number. However, with someone who was familiar with Second Starkiller City, it would save them a lot of trouble. Therefore, Su Fang didn't hesitate to hire Qing Xian. For the next 10,000 years, you will be my employer. May I know your name? Qing Xian revealed a joyful expression. Su Fang answered honestly, Su Fang. So it's young Master Su Fang. Qing Xian nodded and then told Su Fang a few things about Second Starkiller City. It was different from First Starkiller City. A long time ago, Second Starkiller City had been controlled by a mysterious power and became the only power in Second Starkiller City. Cultivators who entered Second Starkiller City had to pay a certain amount of rent and live in the pavilions and immortal caves controlled by the City Lord's mansion. Otherwise, they could only sleep outside the city. The City Lord's mansion would not only not charge rent for some disciples from large powers, but they would also give them special treatment. Su Fang was startled. That power's background must be quite big, right? Controlling Second Starkiller City would not only allow one to amass a shocking amount of wealth, but they would also be able to befriend peerless geniuses from various powers. If they didn't have a powerful backer, how would they be able to do that? Qing Xian replied, of course. Some people speculate that the power controlling Second Starkiller City might come from Heaven Pavilion. Su Fang then asked, cultivators can't stay in Blood Valley for too long. Could it be that the City Lord's mansion's people rotate every once in a while? Exactly. Qing Xian continued to explain. Not only were the powerhouses of the City Lord's mansion rotated regularly, but the City Lord's mansion would also recruit powerhouses from those cultivators who failed in their training. Other than maintaining order in Second Starkiller City and trading with the cultivators, the City Lord's mansion did not interfere with the cultivators' training. Moreover, the City Lord's mansion had a forbidden technique that could help cultivators reconstruct their Blood Fiend Dharma body. Of course, they had to pay a sufficient price. The City Lord's mansion's Chamber of Commerce could also provide cultivators with various cultivation resources, but the price was several times more expensive than in the mystic world. The Chamber of Commerce also sold a kind of elixir called Blood Fiend Pill. It was an excellent elixir for cultivators to refine their Blood Fiend Dharma body. All cultivators scrambled for it. Therefore, not only was the City Lord's mansion not disliked by the cultivators, but it was also very popular. Su Fang thought to himself, it seems that the City Lord's mansion is not simple. However, this has nothing to do with me. I'd better hurry up and pass Second Starkiller City's training and enter Third Starkiller City. Then, he asked Qing Xian about the price of renting a pavilion and cave abode. The price was astonishing. For example, the most ordinary pavilion would cost 1,000 Blood Fiend stones to rent for 10,000 years. As for cave abodes, the highest price would be over 10,000. Su Fang couldn't help but click his tongue when he heard the price. The City Lord's mansion was simply robbing him. Moreover, it was robbing him openly. He barely had 1,000 Blood Fiend stones on him, which was only enough to rent a pavilion for 10,000 years. He learned from Qing Xian that there were many ways to obtain Blood Fiend stones. One could go to the mines outside the city to find them or kill blood monsters. People like Qing Xian could also earn blood fiend stones by providing services to other cultivators. Of course, one could also sell Xian Bao, elixirs, and other resources to exchange for blood fiend stones. However, the price of these resources was very low by the Chamber of Commerce. If one wanted to buy them, they would have to pay several times the price. The easiest way to obtain blood fiend stones was to win a battle on the blood slaughter stage and directly snatch them from the hands of the opponent. Of course, if the opponent was a pauper like Su Fang, they would naturally obtain nothing. Young Master Su Fang, I'll take you to rent a pavilion. Then, I'll explain some of the rules of the blood slaughter stage to you in detail. Qing Xian led Su Fang out of the square and into the city street. They walked along the street and arrived at an empty pavilion. Qing Xian took out a token and released a Xian Guang that landed on the plaque above the pavilion's door. Whoosh, a thought descended and turned into the phantom of an old man. He looked at Su Fang indifferently. How long do you plan to rent it for? 10,000 years. Here is 1,000 blood fiend stones. Su Fang took out a storage ring from his palm. There were 1,000 blood fiend stones stored inside. Now, he was a pauper again. The illusory image of the old man took out a blood-colored token and struck a handprint into it. He tossed the token to Su Fang, and then the phantom of the old man turned into a Xian Guang and disappeared without a trace. Su Fang used the token to open the pavilion's door and led Qing Xian inside. Qing Xian recorded the rules of the blood slaughter stage into a jade slip. Young Master Su Fang, take a careful look at the rules. If you need anything, just call me with the rune talisman. I guarantee I will be there at any time. After Qing Xian left, Su Fang sealed the pavilion's door with a barrier and then carefully read the jade slip. Qing Xian left Su Fang's pavilion and returned to the street. She suddenly took out a rune talisman. That newcomer is only at the true Dao realm. I can't figure out his specific strength for the time being. A voice came from the rune talisman. A true Dao realm cultivator can enter second star slaughter city? Are you sure? Qing Xian respectfully said, I'm absolutely sure. That's strange. Qing Xian, the information you revealed this time is very good. I reckon you'll be able to sell a lot of blood evil stones. I don't care how many blood evil stones I can sell. I just want to get the 10 blood evil stones that belong to me. Of course, you will get your share. Continue to keep an eye on that cultivator and find out his background as soon as possible. As long as the information is useful, you will get your share of blood evil stones. Yes. The rules of the second star slaughter city's blood slaughter stage are so cruel? After reading the information in the jade slip, Su Fang frowned. It turned out that the rules of the second star slaughter city's blood slaughter stage were completely different from the first star slaughter cities. The rules were actually very simple. If one wanted to pass the trial of the second star slaughter city, they had to go through 100 battles, and their chances of winning had to be over 50%. The competition on the blood slaughter stage was not a spar. Deaths were common occurrences. It wasn't easy to guarantee that one wouldn't die after 100 battles. According to the rules, there had to be a battle every 10,000 years. Otherwise, one would be directly sent out of Star Slaughter City. There was also a very special rule. If one could guarantee 100 victories, not only would they obtain a blood slaughter token condensed by the Blood Valley's will, but they would also trigger the Jiuxuan's Heavenly Law and be directly listed on the Heavenly Profound list. The Jiuxuan's Heavenly Law was jointly formulated by the supreme powerhouses of the Jiuxuan's God realm. It was not just a verbal agreement but a heavenly law. Any cultivator in the Jiuxuan's God realm had to abide by it. Unexpectedly, even the Blood Valley had to abide by the Jiuxuan's Heavenly Law. Having a blood slaughter token was equivalent to having a part of the ability to control the Blood Valley's will, and being listed on the Heavenly Profound list would allow one to enjoy some special rights of the Jiuxuan's Heavenly Law. It's not easy to not be killed by your opponent in 100 battles. It's almost impossible to win all 100 battles. Su Fang shook his head and smiled bitterly. That rule was almost useless to him. First, I have to find a way to get the blood evil stone. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to survive in the second star slaughter city, let alone improve my strength and smoothly pass the trial. Su Fang calmed down and began to think about how to get the blood evil stone. While he was thinking, buzz, the void trembled, and a blood-red piece of paper emerged from the void. What's this? Su Fang grabbed the blood-red piece of paper in his hand. Chi! The piece of paper quickly burned and turned into a blood-red figure. It was a young cultivator. He looked at Su Fang and said coldly, I, Qin Ming, challenge you. If you have the guts, accept my challenge. After saying that, the blood-red figure shattered and disappeared without a trace. It turned out to be a letter of challenge. Chi, chi, chi. One after another, more than a dozen letters of challenge appeared from the void and turned into blood-red figures. He had just arrived at the second star slaughter city and had not even warmed his seat, but more than a dozen cultivators had come to challenge him. No matter where I go, newcomers are treated as soft persimmons. Chapter 2707. Don't be in a hurry to challenge them. Let's figure out the situation in Second Slaughter City first. We still have 10,000 years anyway. Although Su Fang was very confident in his strength, he would never accept a challenge as soon as he arrived. After some thought, Su Fang took out a rune talisman and said, Qingxian, I have something to ask you. A thought flashed from the rune talisman and turned into a lifelike shadow of Qingxian. Young Master Su Fang, you are my employer. If you have any questions, I will answer them without reserve. Su Fang asked coldly. As soon as I arrived at the second star killer city, I immediately received challenges from more than a dozen experts. Do you know who leaked the news about me? Su Fang's cultivation years were not long, but he had experienced countless storms and waves. How could he not see the trick? Qingxian smiled lightly. Young Master Su Fang is indeed not an ordinary person. You can see it with a single glance. If so, I can't admit it. You took my blood evil stone and sold me out. Don't you want to give me an explanation? This is my fault. I will definitely compensate young Master Su Fang. Seeing that Qingxian did not shirk her responsibility, Su Fang did not pursue the matter. After all, he still needed to find out more information from Qingxian. Besides, it was not a big deal to leak his information. Su Fang questioned Qingxian not because he really wanted to pursue the matter, but because he wanted to gain the upper hand first so that Qingxian would work harder. At the same time, it was also a warning. QL11 Qingxian continued, if young Master Su Fang doesn't want to accept the challenge, you can just ignore the challengers. Besides, I suggest that young Master Su Fang disguise his identity and appearance when you enter the slaughter arena in the future. Why? Secondly, the cultivators in Assassin City come from various forces of Dongxian. If they accidentally kill a disciple of a super force on the Sanguine Massacre arena, they will suffer revenge before they even leave the Blood Valley. Therefore, most of the cultivators on the Sanguine Massacre arena hide their identities and disguise their appearances. I see. I understand. Su Fang nodded. Then, he asked, let me ask you again. Is it possible to directly advance to a 2-star Divine Slaughter General by consuming blood evil stones, blood evil pills, or other methods in Second Starkiller City? Could it be that young Master Su Fang advanced from the number 1 killer city by absorbing the blood evil stone's evil blood aura? Qingxian's phantom revealed a look of sudden realization. Su Fang said indifferently, if I ask you a question, just answer it directly. Qingxian smiled and said, young Master Su Fang is indeed intelligent. You are so young, but you are watertight. Qingxian admires you. In the second star slaughter city, one had to go through 100 battles on the blood slaughter platform to become a 2-star divine slaughter general. There was no other way. No matter how many blood evil stones and blood evil pills you devour, it can only increase the strength of the blood evil Dharma body and add a few more slash marks to the killing star pattern on the blood armor. Slayer's mark? What is that? Qing Xian continued to explain. Victory on the blood slaughter platform didn't just allow one to cleanse one's marrow with blood evil qi, it would even condense marks on the blood armor and the killing star pattern on the blood armor. Those were the slaughter marks. They were both one-star divine slaughter generals. The more slash marks on the blood armor, the more powerful the blood fiend avatar would be. Normally speaking, so long as one condensed 9 slash marks, one would be able to advance to a 2-star divine slaughter general. Even though devouring the blood evil stones and blood evil pills could still condense slash marks, it was unable to allow a cultivator to condense a second killing star and advance to a 2-star divine slaughter general. However, the more slash marks one possessed, the stronger the blood evil Dharma body would be. At the same time, the slash marks could display the blood evil Dharma body's potential. Qing Xian said that in the history of Second Starkiller City, someone had once cultivated 72 slash marks, but the blood evil Dharma body possessed the terrifying strength to kill Daolord. It was precisely that person who hadn't lost a single battle on the blood slaughter platform. Not only had he obtained a blood slaughter token, but he'd even ascended the dark sky rankings. Su Fang was very disappointed when he heard Qing Xian's explanation. He'd intended to rely on the blood evil stones to advance to a 2-star divine slaughter general. Of course, it was even easier to kill the blood evil clones and devour their blood evil qi. But now it seemed like he could only fight 100 battles steadily, and there were no shortcuts. Su Fang didn't intend to continue using the blood slaughter spider's ability on the Second Starkiller City's blood slaughter platform. Firstly, it would lose the meaning of tempering himself. Moreover, Su Fang was worried that if he frequently used the blood slaughter spider's ability, someone would notice it sooner or later. At that time, it would bring him a heinous crime. Which power didn't want to obtain a blood slaughter spider? Once the blood slaughter spider was exposed, who knew what kind of trouble it would bring to Su Fang? Su Fang guessed that even Shi Xian's Daozu might not be able to protect him. Even 6 extreme Dao Saints' avatar couldn't release his power or thoughts. I can only rely on my own strength, mainly the blood evil avatar. My blood evil avatar is already extraordinary and surpasses other cultivators. Coupled with my other abilities, it'll be difficult for anyone to stop my rise in the Second Starkiller City. Su Fang's heart surged with fighting spirit. Then, Qing Xian told Su Fang some information about the blood slaughter platform. Qing Xian had betrayed Su Fang and was seen through by Su Fang, so she felt guilty. In order to make it up to Su Fang, Qing Xian told him some things that weren't in the information she gave Su Fang before. Young Master Su Fang, I suggest that you cultivate the blood slaughter star on your blood armor to the level of 3 slaughter marks before accepting the challenge. Why? Once the blood evil avatar is cultivated to the level of a 1-star divine general, the strength it can display in the Blood Valley will far surpass other avatars. Therefore, the battle on the blood slaughter platform will mainly depend on the strength of the blood evil avatar. Young Master hasn't even condensed 1 slaughter mark yet. When you enter the blood slaughter platform, you'll be suppressed by your opponent and won't have the strength to fight back. I understand. It seemed that he had to improve his blood evil avatar first. He pondered for a moment. Su Fang then asked Qing Xian, "Second, are there any other trading places in Starkiller City besides the Chamber of Commerce?" "Of course there are." Qing Xian replied with certainty. The Chamber of Commerce controlled by the City Lord's mansion exploited cultivators too much, so some cultivators from different forces formed an underground black market. Second, many transactions in Starkiller City are done in the black market. Black market? Doesn't the City Lord's mansion stop it? Second, the black market in Starkiller City is established by the disciples of the 3 highest profound sects and the Great Sun Limitless sect, two super forces second only to the eastern profound heavenly pavilion. Moreover, there are constantly powerhouses entering the Blood Valley and taking turns to guard the black market. No matter how great the city lord's mansion's background is, they can only turn a blind eye to these two forces. I see. Su Fang was naturally familiar with the three highest profound sects, but he wasn't too clear about the Great Sun Limitless sect. He had only heard of them before. The Great Sun Limitless sect was a powerful force that had risen from Dongxian in the last 10 epoch. Although its foundation wasn't as strong as the three highest profound sects, the force had as many powerhouses as there were clouds. Its overall strength wasn't any weaker than the three highest profound sects. Su Fang said decisively, "Take me to the black market." He was practically broke now and could only take out some Xian Bao and resources that he didn't need to exchange for some blood evil stones to improve his blood evil avatar's strength as soon as possible. "You're my employer. Tell me where you want to go and I'll naturally accompany you." The figure formed by Qing Xian's thoughts smiled and then turned into a Xian Guang and disappeared into nothingness. Su Fang walked out of the pavilion and waited at the door for a while before Qing Xian came over. She then led Su Fang through the pavilions and finally came to a pavilion that didn't look any different from the others. Qing Xian struck out a hand seal and landed on the door of the pavilion. Whoosh! A thought passed through the barrier of the door and appeared in front of Qing Xian, turning into the figure of an old man. "Qing Xian, you've brought people again? I hope you can bring experts this time, don't be like the previous few times." The old man's figure spoke indifferently and then looked at Su Fang. Realizing that Su Fang's cultivation base was only at the Daojian upper realm, the old man's expression immediately turned ugly. He said coldly, "Qing Xian, you dare to bring such a small fry to the black market?" Qing Xian cupped her fists and said, "Although this young master's cultivation base isn't high, he's naturally extraordinary to be able to become a one-star divine general of bloody slaughter. Sir, please make things convenient. Humph, don't cause trouble when you enter, or you won't even know how you died." The old man's figure snorted coldly and then disappeared. The barrier outside the pavilion's door opened up a passage, and Qing Xian led Su Fang through the formation and entered. With a leap, Su Fang directly entered a world from outside the pavilion. This world covered an area of thousands of acres, but there weren't any shops inside. In the empty space, there were many cultivators setting up stalls, selling all kinds of treasures. There were also cultivators who directly traded with each other, appearing very relaxed. This space is the interior of a Xian Guang of the Three Supremes mysterious sects. It's specially used for black market transactions. Usually, there are experts from the Three Supremes mysterious sects and the Boundless Sun sect guarding it. Although this black market isn't big and there aren't many people, there's almost everything in this black market. There are also many treasures that can't be seen in the outside world. It's mainly the disciples from the 8 forces of Dongxian who are willing to sell all kinds of treasures in order to obtain blood evil ores. "Young master, please don't get into a conflict with others. Although this black market is safer than the interior of number 1 Killer City, it's still in the Blood Valley after all. The slightest carelessness will cause you to lose your life in the black market." Qing Xian warned Su Fang in detail solemnly before leading Su Fang to the stalls. In front of a cultivator's stall, Su Fang saw some black and red pills shrouded in a Xian Guang. He asked Qing Xian, "Is that the blood evil pill?" Qing Xian responded with her primordial spirit, "Yes, that is a blood demon pill. However, the blood demon pills sold in the black market are refined by those who are good at refining pills. The quality is far inferior to the blood demon pills of the Chamber of Commerce. There are even some inferior blood demon pills that can kill people." She then continued, "It's not just the blood evil pill. The pill recipes and materials for refining the blood evil pill can be bought in the black market. Those cultivators who have mastered the art of refining pills are the most popular in number 2 Killer City. They almost don't have to worry about blood evil ores. They can even exchange them for many treasures that are hard to find in the outside world through refining pills. Refining pills?